Michael J. Nelson here. This is 372 pages. We'll never get back. Connor Listoka is with me, which is not a new thing. This is how we usually do it. We go through some bad books, and we're in the middle of one right now. Connor, why don't you tell the people, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
Say hello to the people, Connor. This is my little friend, Connor.
Muggles would make a very good ventriloquist dummy, right? Just the horrible, bald, extended head and the distended belly and the overalls. Just people would be flocking out of the theater, more so than any normal ventriloquist act would make them flock out.
Look at that guy in the front row. You think my belly is distended? Come on, Muggle, now. Come on. Be kind, Mr. Muggle.
Boy, you know who I don't like is those Nardles, huh?
You see spinning around. Like, now, why are you obsessed with Nardles?
Well, they drug away my grandma. Okay. It's not a bit. I harbored a deep-seated resentment of Nardles. They drugged my grandmother into the woods. I know I usually start off and then I go and say something inappropriate or racist here, but no, come on. This guy knows what I'm talking about.
He looks like a grubble. Huh? Whoosh. All right. That's our venture.
Muggles,
but anyway, we're going to...
The Legend of Rah and the Muggles, a out-of-print book from 1991 that was the subject of a major lawsuit when the author N.K. Stouffer tried to sue Scholastic over the fact that Harry Potter books also contain Muggles. And
could be the most... Is it the most newsworthy thing that we've ever done?
Wow.
I mean, I can't think of anything that made bigger headlines. Like, it penetrated, like, both of us were aware of it at the time. Like, J.K. Rowling is being sued because, and then on the surface, then, of course, you have to read down. But if you read to the third paragraph, of course, this has nothing to do with her book. But you read the first, you're like, wow, Harry Potter and Muggles and Neville's sounds pretty close. Then you actually read a little farther, you're like, oh my God, this has nothing to do.
Turns out anyone can sue anybody as long as they're a little, as long as they are, find the right kind of lawyer who can smell dollar signs. The most newsworthy thing, Model Land did launch its own brand of ice cream.
That's true, yeah. Model Land.
Up there. And Larry and Denise figured out how to embed blingy GIFs of Jessica Alba on their website. So.
That is true.
Ellis's to get website. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely a top 3, I would say.
Yeah.
Probably the only one that was ever discussed on a late night talk show. Though I don't know if the Ellis's made the cut.
Yeah.
Another thing, though, that does fit it into our canon is something that maybe more than one listener discovered, but a listener named Jay wrote in to do this before I had read this section. And he had read ahead. At the end of this book is a character glossary. Mm-hmm. I think that's the term. Yeah. It just says, these are in fantasy novels or anything with a long list of characters to sort of refresh your memory about who these things are. If you don't remember who the sea cow was, you can go back to here and see that it was, Mortimer or whoever.
Right.
But at the entry for Rah, the main character, it says that this did not come up during the book, but it is here in the glossary. Son of Catherine and Sir Geoffrey Luttrell, fraternal twin brother of Zyn. No surprises there. Richly tanned skin, probably from being a baby that sailed on a raft in the sun.
Yeah.
Long, slender fingers with short groomed nails. He walks confidently. It goes on to say more things, but Rah, canonically, long, slender fingers. Twin brother Zyn perhaps has them as well, but that makes, I think, 26 out of 32 books that we've discussed. I think starting with the character in Armada's mother, and then has just traversed centuries and genres and all types of authors. But that is the one thing that unites all of these books on our yarn board here.
And if you had asked me at the beginning, that would have been my 8 millionth guess. Like, what do you think unites all bad books that you're about to read? I don't know. Someone woke with a start, or the rain, tears fell down like rain. I don't know. Something cliche like that.
Right.
No, it is long, slender fingers. I'd be like, no, you're making that up. That is so bizarre and out there that it is not a thing that anyone would hook on. But all of our authors have. Nearly all of our authors have.
Yeah, and Jay also included with his announcement of this, he included a search graph that I just sent you from Google Books Ngram Viewer. It's a way to search all the books that Google has scanned, so essentially everything. And if you search for long or slender fingers, you can see this graph that it seems like there was a brief boom in the back half of the 1800s, but then that's just taken off. There's nothing compared to what happened. Who knows what got in the water in the new millennium, but just a hockey stick up of both long and slender fingers turning up in books. It's incredible.
Wow. What? Why? Is that a way to give you
authors? I don't know.
I don't know. It's kind of like we've always pointed it out that when we will write scripts and we kind of all the writers will write separately at first, and we merge the scripts, and there'll be like 5 mentions of something that have nothing to do with the movie. You know, like squirrels walking backwards down a tree. That's the 5th mention of it. Come on, guys. There's not even a squirrel in this movie.
Louis Grizzard references in this.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. It's just in the air. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's it might explain it, but I think, Irene Iddesleigh had long, slender fingers in it too. So maybe that's the peak we see there in 1850 before the real boom. I don't know.
Well, all bad authors, maybe they go back to that book like, I need inspiration. Yeah. Long, slender fingers.
Yeah. So if you bought either stock in Apple or long, slender fingers in 1999, you're probably doing all right now.
Yeah. Lucky. Let's. Do you want to summarize the book up till now? We're reading from chapter 9 through to the end. So the good news for everyone is I don't have to do real or fanfic.
Very lucky. Although I feel like we didn't get the guy didn't write in with the summation yet. I'm sure he will. No pressure or anything. But I thought you did pretty well on this round.
Oh, okay, good.
I don't know.
We'll wait till he does the actual numbers.
But yeah, it starts off in a medieval fantasy land. It starts off with nuclear holocaust. Sorry.
Yeah.
Just sort of forgot about that.
Kind of buried the lead there. Remember when our parents got killed? Yes. It slipped my mind. But yes, now that you mention it, yeah.
A nuclear holocaust which created the land of the Muggles, because all the people who were have-nots, the orphans and the disabled and the blind got sent to this island and then devolved into these Muggles who are hairless, big-headed creatures. There was never any sun there. There was just a purple haze in the sky. A fairy tale queen sent her 2 twin sons, Rah and Zyn, on a raft to that land. They were adopted by the Muggles. They also brought sunlight to that land, so they blessed the Muggles with a big garden and plants and everything like that. And they were then raised by them, and a few things happened. There was one of them kicked a Nardle, and there was a cave where they found some treasure that had moss that made one of them fall asleep.
But the moss only makes certain people fall asleep?
Yep.
It knows
the moss spores.
Yeah. The flowering moss. It is a different world, so moss can flower there.
2 Muggles that always hold hands, named Pitter and Patter.
Mm-hmm.
And, brother, there's a lemonade lake. I mean, what else do you need to know?
Oh, and Zyn gets a worry stone from, what's her name, Goldie?
From Goldie, yeah. Major plot
Goldie
point
or
there.
Golda, I think.
That's the grandmother of all Muggles.
Yes. So she secretly gives him a worry stone.
Yeah.
And, yeah. And if you were hoping that the entire... It's one thing to Bleriana a person. It's another to Bleriana an entire castle or kingdom. So stay tuned to see if they do that in this particular book.
Yes, Bleriana-ing a kingdom, Bleriana-ing major plot points, treasures, stones, etc.
Yeah. See if they can pull that off. We'll see. That's why we're reading to the end here.
Yeah, one of the 2 main characters may end up getting Bleriana. Who's to say? I will also add that this book if you're reading it electronically, or I mean, probably in the print edition as well, the character, I mean, glossary at the end of it does take up a substantial amount of both ebook pages and print pages. So it's one of those things where it does sort of surprise you if you're reading it that the ending is not where you think it's going to be.
Yeah,
and it pays off in that respect, because you're like, I thought there was going to be 10 more pages, because the plot certainly leaves you expecting that as well.
Yeah, you're doing the mathematics in your head. You're like, yeah, this many pages left seems about right. Like, no. The math doesn't work out at all. But we'll get to all of that, because we have to start with Chapter 9. When we left them, they were riding a Nardle back with Dr. Dibbs.
Dr. Dibbs, yeah, and his Medamut was his Nardle.
Was headed back to treat Rah, who was dizzy from Meridian moss.
Yes,
we'll get to it.
Something like that.
And Bordonian moss. I'm sorry.
Did I blow it? Did the Nardles drag you away, or the
Greeblies drag you away? You said Nardles, but I mean, look, if we're going to get so many disgruntled letters that it's going to be worth it. We're going to have a bag of mail. Like, Connor was so wrong.
Yeah. My uncle was a Greebly. You've disserviced us by...
I used to like your podcast.
At least I've acknowledged it. I will atone. I will go to the lake of lashes and be weighted down by worry stones.
Yes. So Chapter 9, we join... it's just sort of we zoom around in time a lot here. Time is very fluid on Aura, which is my first note. This is just a part of a kingdom, right? It's not another planet.
No, they were formerly humans. That's what they became. I don't know if it's an island or just isolated, but we go to another island later. So.
Yes. So essentially what they do is, okay, Rah and Zyn, the two kids who the Muggles raise, are like, one of them like twirls his mustache and ties, damsels to railroad tracks. The other one goes around and rescues cats from trees and stuff like that. So, but it does say, so Rah, he was constantly searching for ideas that would improve life for everyone on Aura. How are things on Virginia today, Connor?
It was a little snowing here, a little bit on Virginia.
Okay, well, on Minnesota, it's cold. It's very cold here on Minnesota.
Is it maybe like there's some weirdos who say like, I'm going to go stand online to see that movie? Is it that?
Well,
kind of
isn't that an East Coast thing? Now
not on Virginia. Not on Virginia. It's not.
I stood online. I was like, you were on someone's shoulders, like when you. I don't know.
All right, talk about getting letters. Oh boy.
Oh boy, don't start that. That you might as well cancel a comic strip. We'll get more letters.
We bought a Washington Post yesterday because a friend had an article in it for the first time in years, if not decades. It was $4 at a 7-Eleven, and they still have color, Family Circus, Big Nate.
Wow.
They're all still going strong there for somebody, I guess, for a octogenarian who will write letters if they cancel them.
Do you think like they just like on a timer, they're like, all right, it's time to try to cancel Family Circus again. Who's the most junior member of our team? Dan, get in here. Hey everyone, what do you need? I need you to cancel Family Circus. Aw, shucks.
Can I at least call my wife first? No, you got to do it.
Cut to him like crucified in the town square, bleeding from everybody.
You tried to cancel Bill Keane, didn't you? Like, tell my wife it was not me. Oh. Anyway, still going strong.
Yes.
It's delightful to see. Who knows which generation of Keane is writing it now, but I mean, the Ellises or N.K. Stouffer. Didn't N.K. have a nephew who testified in court on her behalf? He should take up the mantle here. Why should comics be the only things that do that? Self-published fantasy books should follow that model. You mentioned that he was going to save cats. His goodwill or his service project for the community here is building an irrigation system so they don't have to carry water to their fields in acorns. Yes. So it's a little, I don't know, it's a high concept. A lot of Eagle Scouts, they build service projects, and it's like, I put in a trash can at a trailhead, and it's like, well, bravo, future leader of America. Yeah. This guy is, it's ambitious. I think you have to give him credit. They built a 3-story ironstone mill house next to the creek. It's going to be a distribute water, process food, and it's also where he and Zyn are going to live.
Yeah. And deep description of it. This doesn't happen a lot. Usually it's just like, we went to Lemonade Lake. Oh, what's that? Lemonade Lake is a lake that tastes like lemon. Okay, all right. But this one, like, deep descriptions of the... Attached to the water side of the building is a water wheel resembling a Ferris wheel, constructed of an oak framework with mammoth-sized hollowed gourd buckets evenly distributed around it. The buckets sway back and forth with the slightest movement. I'm not picturing. I can't get this. The wheel is secured to the axle with a cotter pin. Oh, okay.
That type of, yes.
Now I'm on board. A cotter pin. If we had pulled a lottery for that and someone had guessed, like, we will give you $1 million if you could, here's a couple of the words, cotter pin. And then you see it, you'd be like, come on.
Was it Let's Make a Deal, where it's like, if you have a cotter pin in your purse, you know, you can come on down.
A woman runs up, I have one.
It is very funny, too, to describe it, the water wheel, which I think, I don't know, most of us could probably picture if from, you know, paintings or cartoons, sure. by comparing it to a Ferris wheel, which I guess is a known concept in Muggle world.
So there are Ferris wheels, yes.
Yes, and cotter pins. That's important.
But we all know water wheels, excuse me, because we go to restaurants that are built in the old mill, and then they're on the picture on the menu is what it used to look like. So Rah is doing that. What is Zyn doing?
He's having a grand old time. He's becoming increasingly more jealous of Rah. Yes. Rah was successful and visibly admired by nearly everyone.
Yeah.
He resented Rah's accomplishments and the attention Muggles gave him. Zyn's jealousy eventually consumed his spirit. That was wow. That was quick.
And then each time Zyn heard a Muggle praise Rah, right, so far it's manageable. It's kind of, it's ramped up quite a bit. Each time he heard a Muggle praise Rah, his mind and body filled with rage. Okay, I think maybe we're reaching a point where this is becoming unmanageable.
So, but like, what is he doing? Because Rah is building the mill house. He's building it as a place for them both to live.
Yes.
So is Zyn just sort of like sitting there, just like, balling his fists and steam coming out his ears as Rah is like, hey man, you want to like pick out the size of bed you want to, pick out the frame for your bed? And he's like, that son of a bit, like I'm consumed with jealousy and rage. He's like, we're putting in dual sinks for our bathroom. Like, do you want to pick out the finish on yours? And it's like,
Yeah, it is, it's month 10. Like, well, we're getting to, we poured the foundation and now, the studs are up and everything. There's plastic hanging around and like, hey, is this thing okay with you? You seem a little, because it's almost a year. We're getting pretty deep in this project. Like, I don't like it at all. Well, you might have mentioned that before.
Yeah, and it is something he would notice because it says he lost confidence in himself and lost his self-esteem. Every thought and action became resentful and nasty. Zyn withdrew from his brother and the Muggles. The more time he spent alone, the more anger he felt and the unhappier he became. The unhappiness was very noticeable and even affected his physical appearance. So it says his beautiful smile turned into a frown. You would expect that if he's unhappy. Yeah. His golden strawberry blonde hair looked dirty and unkempt, and his clothing hung in tatters from his thinning body. So he is becoming so evil and unhappy that it's like, burning through to his clothes. That is powerfully bad juju.
It's clearly there's a Gollum thing going on here.
Yes.
Zyn's wit was replaced by constant sarcasm. He didn't have a kind word for anyone or anything. He slept most of the day. I don't know where he slept because, we're moving into the new place like in 6 months. He no longer helped with the work. He simply refused to participate in any activity of any kind.
Wow.
I mean, I guess eating would be one of them because he's thinning.
I mean, adult kickball league. He's not showing up for that. And he's like,
we're going to go get some butterbeer over at the place. You want to go? Like,
want to go kick a
butterbeer? Wow, that is so sarcastic, man. We're just asking you to come along.
That's so different from their usual wit, which we had all come to know. I do want to point out two things, is that as part of the construction of the mill house, Rah employed beavers and groundhogs. Yes. That's important. They have their animal servants here. And they also they made pulleys from woven hemp ropes. So they've got a hemp farming operation here on Aura as well. I think that comes up. Might explain some things that happen a bit later.
Yeah, this is a style of writing they do. It's going back a bit, describing the building. Blah, blah, blah. The side of the building, hollowed trunks of fallen oak trees were split in half, oiled generously with sap from maple trees, and assembled together, creating a trough system that connected to the ditch path. And as I'm reading that, I'm like, wait, I'm trying to picture, how was the path dug? How was the path dug? The path had been dug by groundhogs earlier. And it's okay. Oh, thank God. Thank you. Wow. That was like a raspberry seed in my wisdom tooth. What? I can't get over who dug the path.
What were the groundhogs named, though? What were they named? Did they pronounce it baby or babby? We must know. Rah is, of course, concerned about this because he is a community leader and an Eagle Scout and all these type of things. So he's looking at his brother and being like, I can't put my finger on it, but I think from the way that his tattered rags are hacking off of his skeletal frame and his greasy hair, I just feel like something is off about him. So he goes and he talks to Golda, the woman who helped raise them, the granny of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, what's going on? And she's like, essentially like, screw that kid. She says, don't carry your brother's problems on your shoulder. Every problem he has right now belongs only to him. There's some things that just can't be fixed by anyone. It's like, oh, well, that's not exactly what I thought you were going to say here, oh wise one. But
I was thinking no one is beyond the reach of our kindness, and no, kick him out. Okay, all right, got it. While Rah anguished, this is the final sentence of the chapter. While Rah anguished over his brother, Zyn was making plans to destroy him. Quote, there just isn't enough room here for both of us, and I can take care of that, Zyn mumbled angrily to himself. As Rah's like, Zyn? What was that? Nothing. Your clothes are looking very tattered. Please, have some of this stew that I just prepared for the entire village. No, have some of this stew I just prepared for the entire... Oh, God, again with the sarcasm.
The sarcastic, oh, man. It's like, if there was a time for you to think that there was not enough room here in the mill house for both of us, I had the blueprints on display for public approval. You were just sort of like standing there mumbling sarcastically while everyone else was weighing in on it.
And I explicitly said we can have a wall, like it can be like a duplex. We can do anything. That we're working with groundhogs and beavers, like whatever you want. I have the plans right here. Do you want to wall it off? You never even have to see me. There's not enough room. But there could be, is what I'm saying.
Right.
We could dig that trough right now. The groundhogs, look at them. They're out there. They work
beavers
for free.
Were very happy to do this. They're like itching for another job. Zyn's like getting a roll of masking tape to put a line down the center of the house like a sitcom character.
And doing it sarcastically.
Yeah. This shelf of the fridge is for me, and this one is for you. All right. Can I borrow the cream cheese, though?
Yes, I put some of your butter on my bread. I knew there was a little bit of it missing.
It did say that the Muggles tried to reassure Zyn. So, like, I wonder what they were doing, like, as he was descending into this golem-like state. Or are they just like...
It was like an arm over his shoulder, like, hey, buddy, you doing... Wow, you are fragrant, man. You have not... Your hair is... I mean, it looks good on you, but...
And that drawing you did of a Greebly, that's really great. I can see that. That's a drawing of Golda. Come on. Like, all right. It's still a good drawing.
I mean, do you just want a little shampoo or something? At least I have hair. Oh, God, the sarcasm. All right.
Yeah. You try to give him a nice little, like, reassuring tussle, and the clump of hair just comes out in your hand, and you're like, I'll just put that in my pocket and save that.
I notice you're sharpening your teeth into fangs. I really feel like there might be something going on with you.
This is the only other note I had, but Golda tells Rah reassuringly, Rah, sometimes when we can't see the positive in someone with our eyes, we must close them and view that person with our hearts. And I thought Rah was like, oh, so that hemp back there, that's not for making ropes out of, Golda. That's all right. This makes a bit more sense. Kind of I see. Huh?
Okay.
Yeah. I'll go home and view them with my heart. No problem. I'll put on some Dark Side of the Moon. And
are you going to macrame that onto a thing and hang it on your wall? All right, Chapter 10.
Chapter 10, the Manchineet Tree.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, we got a little taste of Manchineet Tree last time's Reel of Fan Fiction, but the full dose of it is here. It continues the trend of the last one. Zyn was a loud and nasty young man. And are we talking like Nasty Fox nasty?
So nasty.
From the Ellises, but I'm not sure. But it wasn't long before his attitude began to have a very bad effect on the Muggles.
I did notice, I know this is not a good thing to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. Is there a positive of the nuclear holocaust? I think there is. It eliminated jealousy. Okay. They didn't understand jealousy, and they didn't understand him. So in the ensuing years, whatever that was, between the Holocaust and sometimes the time is like, it's an accordion, right? Whatever we need for time.
Of course, but I believe they said 500 years.
500 years. Jealousy was eliminated. So, I mean, omelets, eggs kind of a thing.
Sure. Although, you have to take into account all the things that the nuclear holocaust did, such as blot out the sun with a purple haze. So maybe the sun was causing jealousy.
I'm just saying the nuclear holocaust had some good ideas. That's all I'm saying.
You'd feel like a real fool if you tried to do a nuclear holocaust and it turned out all you had to do was just put some purple haze in the sky. That's just, maybe try that first. I don't know.
Right.
Or you just launch a ton of nukes and then it doesn't get quite to the level of being considered all right. We don't need to debate what. Anyway, this is another quote from Nona, who is Golda's daughter, who had also, they say, raised them. She's asking Yer, like, what did I do wrong? Did I not love him enough as a baby? And Zur says, Nona, this is not anything that anyone failed to provide for Zyn. This is what Zyn is not giving to himself. And again, the presence of hemp has made things a lot more understandable in terms of like, maybe Zyn's not hard of hearing. He's just stoned all the time.
Well, also maybe was, this was Yer, right? Was Yer a football coach at some point? Maybe that's why they explained that, no, this is not anything that anyone failed to provide for Zyn. This is what's it. Take off your helmet in this room, son. This is what Zyn is not given to himself.
Zyn is not given 110%.
Yes, sir. Yes, coach. But he breaks off. Zyn, unsurprisingly, does not fit in with the Muggles. And so he aligns himself with his own little gang of followers. He called... I didn't notice this until right now, that he called them Nevils.
Sure.
And so he's screaming to his little gang. This is sort of an upside down. Then they describe the gang after they describe this little moment, but I like this. He yells, "Keep those winged music makers away from me!" Zyn screamed at Teeter, sticking his finger right in front of his face. And just for a brief second, I had hoped he wasn't talking about birds, but actual winged music makers. That would have opened up a whole new, like, Muggle world, like they developed wings after the, 700th year.
Yeah, and we have buried the lead until now, but they will provide a prominent role in the final act of this book.
That would have been great. Unfortunately. It turned out.
So he's berating Teeter, who was one of the Nevilles, one of the 6 Nevilles. And Nevilles is essentially devils with an N, which you'll recall, I think it was brought up that this was one of her points of evidence in the lawsuit, was that, hey, there's a character in Harry Potter named Neville Longbottom, and I've got Nevilles in mine. And I was like, well, that's an odd coincidence, but this is just sort of like, she changed a letter in devils, and they are the bad guys. So it's all the other points of her lawsuit I thought were, rock solid. This one I feel like is a little shaky turf.
It was really bad though when she sued the movie Chops, CHOP, which I believe is a B movie. And she sued them, and they're like, we lost, millions. Most of it is overseas money. Good luck collecting, but
They sued Easy. She sued Easy Rider because there was Peter Fonda was an actor in it, and they're like, well, I don't understand this. She's like, well, Chops' his real name is Peter, but and your movie also has a Peter in it. So, they are he's berating Teeter because the birds are waking him up too early, and they tell Seymour. You might want to read this one.
Someone says, I don't know who says it, but someone goes, Seymour. An albino hawk watch Zyn and Teeter from a treetop, quietly waiting for Zyn to leave. Who said Seymour? Who voiced that? Did Seymour do it? Is it kind of like, there's quotes around it. So Seymour, is it like, what's
Not
the guy
my
from
true
Arrested
name?
Development, the kid who's always says his own name?
Oh, Steve Holt.
Steve Holt. So it's like, Seymour! And then he flies down to talk.
I don't know if there was one of those in the last section as well. I believe maybe it was the introduction of Teeter. Maybe it's a bird thing.
Yeah, could be.
But they tell Seymour to get all the other birds to settle down before 11 o'clock in the morning. Violators will pay with their life. So Zyn is sleeping pretty late. I guess maybe he's a teenager. Teenagers can sleep till they can sleep past noon if you let them. But
and then the immediate death penalty for, not even Animal Farm, right? You have to be more subtle than that, right? You start painting over the rules. You don't immediately lead with the death penalty.
And are the other Muggles like going out to, hunt greeblies and just sort of whistling as they walk past this sign? And they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Says who? Zyn? What are you doing?
Their little song that they sing, the sun is coming up, so we're going to hunt greeblies.
It doesn't specify either how he's going to do this. Like, I don't know how he's planning on, capturing the birds and putting them to death. Maybe maybe the beavers are subcontracted to do that or something.
That could be. It would be funny to watch him, like with a bird kind of lashed to a little pole with him walking around it, combing his greasy hair back behind his ears. So, you thought it would be good to wake me up in the morning, did you? Tweet, tweet.
Goodbye Horses from Silence of the Lambs is playing. And then they introduce the rest of the Nevilles, which is a delight. Teeter is he was the keeper of the birds, and he has baggy pants that are always falling down, I guess. Mm-hmm. And you get other similar characteristics of the other ones. Jitters is a problem boy. He was a 16-year-old who has problems with his nerves. His hands shake out of control when his conscience bothered him, and lately they shook all the time.
That seemed cruel to me, but just to back up 1 second here.
Yeah.
This is so Teeter, he screams at Teeter. He's obviously bullying his little group of Nevilles. And then Teeter's like still standing there, and he's like, yeah, this is what Zyn voices out loud. Yeah, I got him right where I want him. Oh, yes, I do. Diddy do. Zyn smirked as he turned and walked away. Like Teeter's like, what are you doing? What is the diddy do? What is that? I'm still here, pulling his pants up. You gotta wash your hair, man.
Yeah. Something tells me the brain might have some black greasy parts of it as well for right now. Because that part of the rant, as well as him being like, yap, yap, yap. Do you understand me, you little Neville? And then he says, oh, tell me how I should be so brave. Well, aren't you just the big brave bird? It sounded like Christian Bale ranting at the cameraman that was in his sight line, like, well, good for you. Good for you, you little Neville. Oh, I should be so brave.
You and me are done professionally. The description of so they get their names when they're how old?
Yeah. Well, it said there was a naming ceremony for most Nevilles around 6, I thought. I mean, not Nevilles, for Muggles.
Yes. So this seems a bit cruel that Jitters is a 16-year-old boy who has problems with his nerves. So they waited until they found his defect, and then they're like, yeah, this is your name. Like, I don't want to be hemmed in by this. Can I have so much to give to the world. Nah, you're a jittery guy.
Yeah.
Jeez, Muggles.
No, it is like, they're sort of like Dick Tracy characters, Yeah. Because there's Mumbles, Chops, Frady.
Frady has this one blows my mind. Please, if anyone can do an illustration of this.
Okay.
Frady is 17 years old, frightened of everything, bites his nails, blah, blah, blah. He will do anything he is told to do by anyone. My God, so he's a concentration camp guard, I guess. He wears big blue sunglasses that extend out beyond his head. So those comical sunglasses that you can buy, the ones that
huge
that you wear to the ball game, novelty sunglasses. Frady,
or like the sassy old lady on those Hallmark cards, Maxine. She's got that sort of.
I was not picturing Frady as wearing novelty sunglasses, but there it is.
Which are being manufactured somewhere on Ara.
Yes.
That maybe the beavers built that plant as well.
Yeah, there's a beaver who's like in there he's got a loop on his head. He's like, I'm working on, my sunglass is bent on one side. It seems like the hinge is off. Yeah. Hang on.
Yep. We've got a crazing problem with some of the lenses too. We're sorting it all out. The next batch is not going to have these issues.
He's listening to sports talk radio. Turns it down for a second. I told you I'd get as soon as I can, man. Turns it back up.
The other thing that he does is he bites his nails all the time. So this is the third major nail biting character. We had the guy who was in the I forget his name. Geoffrey, was it? The guy who was nervous when the queen was giving birth to the two twins. Uh-huh. And then Zyn was biting his nails, I think, when Rah passed out from the moss spores. And then Frady bites his nails and says he will twist his hands and head into positions that will give him the right angle to chew every little piece of nail from his fingertips. So, I don't know why you need to, it seems like rotating your fingers is the way to do that. But he's going at it upside down. And
that's gruesome.
Anyway. And we covered Chops.
Stubby. We covered Chops.
Stubby. Yeah, we covered Chops. Stubby. Any guesses?
Tall and lanky, traits, thin fingers.
Sure. 15, short and fat.
Okay.
But also seen jumping up and down behind other Nevilles in front of him.
This is a weird trait he asks questions about everything. I feel like we've had that before too. If anyone ignores him, he yanks on their clothing until they answer him. That's as irritating. Has anyone ever poked you in the chest? That's a thing where ooh, don't ever touch my chest. But if someone tugged on your sleeve, I mean, maybe my kids did it once, and then they probably had, I probably brought them up short on that.
Yeah.
Sometimes he yanks so hard he tears the clothing he is tugging on. So some Muggle is wearing her, go to the beach sundress, and he just rips it off of her. Stubby!
Then a Nardle greebly drags it away. I assumed he was doing this to his compatriots in the Nevilles, and that maybe it was easier to tear their clothing because it had been rotted by the pure evil in their hearts. Yeah. They're wearing these tattered rags.
True.
I'm not sure. But that brings us to the next guy, Boggs. like Wade Boggs. He's 18, so he's like,
wow.
He's the kind of guy in the crew that you're like, shouldn't you be moving on? Like, you're hanging out with, Patch, who's 14. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But he always has a dirty face and smells like swamp water. His clothing have green mold on them and are nearly in shreds. He doesn't say too much. Most of the time, he just grunts. What was Boggs' lot in life like before Zyn started the Nevils? Because it sounds like he wasn't really, he hasn't recruited the best and brightest of the Muggle community to join this gang of Boggs. That's his defining characteristics. Who
parented Boggs is what I want to know. And also, you mentioned the 18 because the next guy, Patch, is 14. Is that like Dazed and Confused with isn't
McConaughey?
McConaughey, right? Isn't he like older than everyone else, but he still hangs around? All right.
Yeah. There's a point where that becomes the coolest guy, and immediately the next day you're like, oh wait, this is really pathetic.
Yeah, I've told you it's like the guy when I was in high school wrestling. They would bring a guy in like who would wrestle with us.
Yeah, do we have to wrestle Boggs? He smells like swamp water. I got a date tonight, man.
And Lumpy or what? Afraid he tore his clothes off, so he's like half nude. It like, makes the smell even worse. Like, this is gross.
Yeah, but what does Boggs do when he's not here? Like, the rest of us manage not to smell like swamp water. I don't know, but it's pretty delightful. Patch is 14. He's never nervous. He's totally carefree and has a whatever attitude. He will go with anyone and will try anything at least once or twice. Usually the things, they talk about are things you just try once, but he does things that are horrible. Like, he goes back for a second time. Why not? Maybe he got the wrong experience the first time.
Go whiz on that electric fence. Okay. Why not?
Yeah. Try anything
Zap.
twice.
Go do it again. Okay. Why not?
Just dare him to do something and he will. He's not a thrill seeker. He just doesn't seem to care much about anything. So maybe he's just, he's been dragged off by a Greebly too many times. He's just sort of like the chief in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest or something. He's just a shell of a person.
But then the punchline comes to all of this. So far they sound like, this is a ragtag group of like, don't go by the Sandlot. These guys, they're trouble, that Boggs.
Yeah, just the seven dwarves, essentially, with their names and their personalities.
Don't hang around with any of them Nevils. I don't want to see them coming around our house. These are bad guys. Yeah, well, the Nevils are terrorists. And very threatening to the Muggles. Wow. Just ramped it up to... I was thinking, like, at worst... They were, slitting tires, which is horrible. I mean, that's bad, but like...
Sure, 50s greasers or Bugs Meany's tigers,
Yeah, maybe pushing a little weed on the side or something. Some of that hemp to Ure, but no, they're flat-out terrorists.
Yeah, so what does that mean? Are they exploding things? Are they,
I guess.
Poisoning water supplies? I mean, are they planning their own nuclear holocaust?
Yeah, they're, the manifestos are coming out like all the time. They're taking credit for anything that goes wrong.
Yeah. Another manifesto. Oh, this one's got to be Boggs. Yeah. Everyone should smell like swamp water. Yeah, that's a signature of his. His brother turns him in. That's how the FBI catches him.
But they built their home. Oh, wait, before we get to their home, which is interesting.
Yeah.
It says that Rah... Yes, go ahead.
Well, just to follow up to the Nevils are terrorists and very threatening to the Muggles, it says even the Greeblies are a bit uneasy around this group.
Wow. That is... Yeah. I don't know how you know. I guess you just run one down before you feed it to the Nardle. You're like, how do you feel about the Nevils? I'm a bit uneasy. Yeah, we'll die. Be eaten by my Nardle. No!
It sort of makes them seem a little hardcore, though, because, I don't know, if there was a group of, 2 tables over, you're like, hey, waiter, who are those greasy guys wearing tattered rags that smell like pond swamp water? Oh, those are a table of terrorists. I probably would be like, oh, I'm more than a little uneasy. Like, I've got to get the hell out of here right now and alert law enforcement. This is...
But
so maybe the Greeblies are just hardcore.
But, and this is a big but, Rah wasn't afraid of any of them, including his brother, but he had suffered several injuries caused by them and their nasty pranks. When I think of terrorists, I think of their nasty pranks. Come on, guys.
Yeah, you got me.
Oh, how many dead? You guys. Come on. That's kind of nasty. Bugs. Bugs
People on
kicking at the ground.
On trial for, isn't, malicious mischief, isn't that a technical term for a crime type of thing? Like, I don't know. They don't really toss out the death penalty for malicious mischief, I think.
Right.
And are they, so they've attacked him multiple times. Are they still living together in the house he built them above the mill by beavers? Or are they just, is he coming home at the end of the day? Like,
well, this is another one of, yes, this is one of those upside down things. Now we learn that they have their own home.
Ah, of course.
Yes. Instead of he had moved out and been with the Nevilles for quite some time. We have no idea. Yeah. But here we go. The Manchineet, I keep want to saying Manchineet tree. The Manchineet tree sheds radioactive pollen that has caused Zyn and the Neville's skin to blister and discolor. Oh. It made their nails thick and crusty and the whites of their eyes yellow and bloodshot. Guys, so you build the house that you're like, hey, we're turning into zombies living under this tree, but I don't know. It's pretty hard to move. I mean, you can't beat the rent, right? It's free.
I mean, we were nobody's prom king before we moved into Eric because the bitter hatred and jealousy in Zyn's heart was leaching out into us and making our clothes into tattered rags. But this is sort of next level having an effect. I'm looking it up. There's a tree called the Manchineet tree that is actually toxic. It does not appear to be literally radioactive, but
okay.
it could be based in some sort of real life thing.
Where is that? Where's that on? Where's the Manchineet tree?
Tropical climates in North and South America.
Oh, okay. All right.
So it sheds radioactive pollen. It makes their nails thick and crusty. Yes. Makes their skin blister and discolor, whites of their eyes yellow and bloodshot. They became not only nasty, but lazy as well. So laziness follows their nastiness.
Although we knew they were already lazy. But that's a small thing.
Sure. Zyn sat by and let his brother build himself a house and get all the praise.
Zyn developed severe allergies, which causes, so he developed, but it causes, his nose to drip constantly. His joints ache, and he suffers from headaches. His physical health is as bad as his mental health. Here we go. Here's the punchline. You think it's bad already. Zyn's naturally curly, strawberry blonde hair that once hung just below his shoulders was falling out in clumps. I think we're getting the picture here. Did we need all of the things like their skin discolored so they're not blue anymore, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay, discolored to what? What's worse than having blue skin?
Oozing sores.
I guess separating sores is a color. I guess. It's not one you'd pick out for a paint or anything. But again, as much as I want to see, what is it, lumpy or sawed off or whatever, stubby. No, who's got the big sunglasses that extend out of his head?
Oh, yeah, that's not Jitters, Teeter.
Teeter. Well, I mean, if anyone wants to do the whole crew of Neville.
Oh, sure.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah. They'd look like the Burger King Kids Club or the Honeycomb Hideout, but everyone is turning into a radioactive mutant.
With thick yellow nails.
Wow. You know how you sometimes hear someone who's like, they're convinced that there's a ghost in their house. They're like, I'm hearing things.
Sure.
My kids are seeing things. And the answer is almost always, oh, there was a gas leak in your house. Or there was, something, seeping in through the floor. It seems like you'd probably realize that. Just this is, you got to swallow your pride and move out for the Manchineet tree because, what's going on below the belt as well? They're like, hey, it takes a while for someone to bring it up because no one wants to be first. But you're like, hey, has anyone else's urine been just like, like just sort of like red and stinging for like, oh my God, I was waiting for someone else to say it for the past 3 weeks. Yes. It like smokes when I pee. Like, I think this tree is causing it.
Stubby goes out and gets like one of those, goes to the hardware store and gets a bag of radon detectors. Like, I don't know, maybe that's it. Like, we'll just wait. It takes about a week, and then you just kind of look at him, and I don't know, maybe that's the thing. Like, thanks, Stubby, for taking care of. Oh God, it burns.
Yeah. But it must be some powerful jealousy or allegiance to Zyn to make him stay in the Manchineet tree. But Zyn tells him, he's like, "We're in this for life. I'll die before I ask that brother of mine for anything."
Keep in mind, they lived at the top of the Manchineet tree.
Okay. So
it shed radioactive pollen. So I don't know. It sort of sheds it up, I guess, into there. They're at the top of the tree. I can't picture it, but anyway, that's a little detail that they live at the top.
Well, yeah, they have to climb.
It was a very large shanty tree house.
So yeah, I don't know what their sleeping arrangement is there. I'm sure no one wants to sleep next to bogs. That's like the worst seat in the house. But
so then, basically, the guys are like grumbling, like, "Hey, man, I have no fingernails at all left. I'm trying to chew them, and I can't because they turned sort of liquid and gel-like, and they just sort of slid off my fingers."
and that's my thing. That's my defining characteristic. I'm nobody if I can't chew them.
I kind of want to rotate my head and get around them, but they don't exist anymore. And Rah's like, you bunch of mugs. Give it some time, you bums. I got a plan. Yeah. And then he'd give them the raspberries, and they'd go, all right. And then they'd walk away, and one of their limbs would fall off as they left. Like, I got it.
Boggs' septum is now completely rotted out, so his snores are just this horrible, gross sound every night.
There's like it's like an old faithful of like mucus that comes out every time he breathes.
Also radioactive.
Falls back into his little...
God. They go over to Rah, who's reading a parable about rabbits, which is essentially that the rabbits ate so much that they multiply so much, and then they starve because there's not enough food, and then the Muggles eat them. Greed might mean extinction.
I think that was the plot of Night of the Lepus, which a movie that
very much so.
I think so, but didn't really understand. Didn't really need the allegory. I think they're laying it on pretty thick already, so didn't really need the ancient book. But what?
Do you really need an allegory if someone's sleeping under a toxic radioactive tree and then their teeth are rotting out? Like the lesson there seems to be don't live under a toxic radioactive tree, which just doesn't have a lot of necessary analogs in our society. Don't live, underneath a power line. Maybe would be good advice, but
yeah, right.
Also says Rah often dreamed of his mother,
and
wished his brother would feel his pain and unhappiness, which is something I would say I would associate. If you told me one of the brothers wished their brother would feel his pain and unhappiness, I would say Zyn, but whatever. His dreams were so real to him that he often had to pinch himself just to make sure they were only dreams. So I'm not sure the physics and timing of that is that he's pinching himself while dreaming in his sleep.
Yeah, I guess is that what is that called when you dream things?
Lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming, yeah. You can cause your own dreams to happen. I've never been able to master that.
I've woken myself up from dreams before.
I've woken myself up. Does that count as a lucid dream? Or like I'm going to wake myself up?
Yeah, I don't care for the way this is going. I don't like the looks of that Muggle. But also, Rah wants his brother to feel his pain and unhappiness. Like, hey, Rah, have you seen Zyn lately? He does not look like he's not in a lot of pain. He looks like, he doesn't need to bear any more of your own suffering on his shoulders right now.
He seems like he's doing great. I'm so jealous of him. Gets to do whatever he wants over there at the Neville house at the top of the Manchineet tree.
Yeah, I wonder if it is like, like Pleasure Island in Pinocchio, where they're like, oh man, like those kids are gambling and smoking cigars. They must be as happy as they could be.
Like go over to your brother's house and you wake him up it's 1 o'clock and he's like, no, it's good, man. Let me just clean the couch off. Like, don't you have to go to work today? Oh, no, I haven't. That's a whole story. Like, gosh, I envy you.
Yeah.
Things really seem to be going well for you.
Yeah. You want a beer? I've already got 2 open.
Oh, there's so many dirtbags in our lives, aren't there?
Yeah, we haven't even mentioned Uncle Fred this time around, but maybe that's where Zyn is taking his ski from. Uncle Fred's popping around. Hey, got a place I could lay low for a while, man.
You know the old lady. She's something else.
Yeah. Hey, Boggs. Oh, man. What the hell's going wrong with you, man? Oh, that ain't... Yeah. You know what, Zyn? This is a crazy operation you got going here. I think I'll just go sleep down at the beach. That's more my speed these days.
That muggle that you have your arm over, that's not your old lady? Her? No, that's not my old lady. What are you talking about?
This ain't the kind of one you put a ring on, if you know what I'm talking about.
Hi, Uncle Fred.
But hey,
so great to see you.
Come on down. She dances every Thursday at 3 p.m. That's the prime shift down there. They got a great buffet.
When she was 6, they named her Cherry, and that's why she dances.
Yeah, but leave that Boggs character behind. That ain't the way to get the ladies taking interest. Plus, they got his picture up on the wall.
There's a guy at the door. I don't think
he got a little handsy. He's not welcome back. But then it ends with Rah. He's looking at a bracelet on his wrist, which, maybe you've forgotten about that, but he's always been wearing a bracelet.
The tokens are starting to stack up at this point. I don't remember. There's a golden key.
He's been given the golden key that his mom locked the glass box that brought the sunlight to Aura.
Seems like a huge plot point.
Sure. It did seem very important. He's eyeing this key because Golda gave it to him on his 16th birthday. So they're 16 now, or if not older. And it says he's always cherished it, and he had never really given any thought to what the key may unlock or open until now. Dramatic end of chapter.
Never given any thought to it. Come on.
Here's a secret key. I never thought you were old enough to carry its weighty responsibility, but now that you're 16, here you go. Great. Kind of wanted an Xbox, but I will accept the secret key. Delightful, Golda. Thank you.
Yes, you move into your your stepdad's place, which is an old crumbling Victorian mansion, and there's like, I only got one rule. Don't look in that room. And then you're like, okay. And then it never comes up again.
Yeah, the story descends right there. Hey,
sounds good. We have an understanding.
Noticed you're giving the Forbidden Closet of Mystery a pretty wide berth. You're not interested at all in what's going on in there.
Because, as I said, do not go in. No, I heard you. I understand. And if you want me to sign a thing, I will. Is there an NDA or something?
I've really taken an interest in birding, so that's occupied a lot of my attention. If you ever want to come with me, I'm happy to. No, I got things to do in the closet. Secret things.
Secret closet.
Yeah. All right. Well,
why are you backing up and looking at me weirdly?
Has been an ivory woodpecker sighting, and those are pretty rare. So, but I will report back next time you come out of the closet.
So you're not going in the secret. No, I will not. I am going birding.
Yeah. I understand your policy and respect it. Left the door open a crack if you were so inclined.
I keep the key next to my bed and I sleep pretty heavily. I am not interested, as you said. I am not to go in there.
Well, yeah, that's how the chapter ends with that dramatic thing. Should we get ahead of it? That's the last time the key is mentioned. So he had never really given any thought to what am I open until now, and then he quickly lost interest.
Oh, yes. Okay, so chapter 11, The Big Plan. Ooh, there's a plan. Now, it starts off with this. Zyn spent most of his early mornings in his watchtower looking out over the ocean. Okay. Zyn has a watchtower.
He has a watchtower, sure. Yeah.
Did you not? This was not made clear. Oh,
part of the radioactive
by the way,
treehouse, sure.
He has a watchtower. And he spent most of his looking out over the ocean. Through the crusty yellow eyes that he had? Did it affect his vision at all?
You have to imagine there's been some reduction in, far sight. I don't know if Muggles have spectacles, have invented that, but yeah, you have to imagine it's a big detriment.
Yeah, and radioactivity, does that accelerate, like cataracts and stuff like that?
Sure, it could be gamma rays, like gave the Hulk his powers. Maybe it's, it does not appear to have any positive effects since his clothes are rotting and he's, emaciated. But who knows?
But he has, they said that it was a building built on the top, like it was a tree house on the top of the Manchineet tree.
Yes.
And then he said to like the other Nevilles, he says to like Boggs, like, hey, build me a watchtower. Like, I ain't building you a watchtower. Go piss up a rope.
Always sharpening a knife with a whetstone.
Flicks a cigarette in his face. Stubby! Yeah. Yes, sir. Get up there and build me a watchtower. With what? What is a watchtower? How do I do?
We are at the top of a tree. Like, would a window in the treehouse count as a watchtower? How about that? Because you're already up pretty high.
I would like to pace in my watchtower. See, that's not possible. We cannot do that. My hands behind my back, pacing, looking out over the ocean.
A 2-story treehouse, is that what you're asking for? Because that's, there are 7 of us here. 7 Nevilles.
It's pretty close company as it is, but you want your own watchtower. Okay.
I want to be able to brood and go silently mad. He's not silently mad already?
There's another level beyond this?
My God. All right. I don't want to see what happens when you become isolated and weird in your watchtower.
How thick do your toenails get when that happens? My God, they're already like, you need those special clippers for them.
Yeah, that's to nervous Nelly, the Neville. He's like, that's like when someone turns into a whole roast turkey on a deserted island. Those thick toenails that Zyn has, it's like just licking his chops and salivating over them. So the island that he's looking out through his rheumatic eyes at a dark island 2 miles off the coastline of Ara called Dezra. And Dezra, the only person who knows about it is Ur, the old man. And he says he felt there was no need to worry them with any knowledge of it because he knew none of them had ever had a good reason to visit the island. But Zyn was looking for happiness. Oh, is he now? That's what terrorism is going to achieve? And he says Dezra was a hope for the future, one that would include the sovereign reign of his own country. So he's looking to form a little micronation here, like Sealand or...
yeah, this seems like it's a disused oil platform just off the ocean. Like maybe we could get power to that, and
sell knighthoods in it, and run a illegal torrent site off of it. And there we go.
Hang the flag upside down. Sounds
bring us
good.
Happiness.
Which brings me to the Sonic Challenge.
Oh boy.
Yeah, you didn't. This is an unexpected one. Why do you think that Ur never wanted us to know anything about Dezra? He asked the Nevilles, and here's your Sonic Challenge.
Okay.
I bet there's stuff on that island he wants to keep for himself. Chops suggested. So you need to do a Chops impression of him asking about stuff on the island that he wants to keep, but it's only a suggestion.
Okay.
So this is a thin line you have to tread. So first of all, do you have a Chops impression in your mind? Yeah, I don't need to hear it.
Okay. I'm Peter, but then there's a layer of Chops on top of it.
Okay.
I'm wearing a leather jacket. Yes.
You have a leather jacket. You have killed. There are cattle somewhere on Ara. And then you have to say, I bet there's stuff on that island he wants to keep for himself. Chops suggested.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. He's putting his hat on backwards for those who are listening.
Yeah. You set me up with the you give me the read in.
Okay, I'll read you in. Here you go. Let me see. I think this is Zyn. Okay, I'll do my Zyn impression. Why do you think Ur never wanted us to know anything about Dezra?
But there's stuff on that island he wants to keep for himself.
Yeah, all right. Wow, that's Chops. Hey. Okay, Chops is canon now.
You call me Peter, I'll cut you.
Look, let's call him Happy Pete, okay? That'll work things out.
Look, that's a compromise we can all agree with. I'm Chops / Happy Pete. I do need to get another leather jacket, however.
So there's an island, Again, I guess I didn't even know we were foreshadowing it, but like, don't ever go to that island. That secret island. The one that's like right there. So
Right.
that's what, and no one ever thought to go to it until the Nevilles built, until Zyn paced in his watchtower on his treehouse.
Yeah, you had to really have the radiation distort your mind before you wanted to go there. There's islands off the coast of San Diego, the Coronado Islands. Not Coronado, but there's ones out there. And you know, everyone on the beach is like, I wonder what those are. I wonder how you could get to those. It's like, in Lake Champlain, there was a little island that, you know, it's like, I wonder if we could kayak out there. If you see an island, your instinct is, I wonder how you get there. Yeah. It is like a human, universal thing. So that's very funny that they... But then the main reason they couldn't get there is because they don't know how. But they never have had a leader like Zyn before. So he's like, what are we going to do? I bet there's treasures all over there, blah, blah, blah. And Zyn's like, that's why I'm the leader of this pathetic group. The only thing you little buggers do is ask questions. I'm working on a plan to get us there. When it's ready, I'll let you know, Zyn proclaimed. This is literally the next sentence. The following morning, Zyn laid out his plan to the Nevilles. It was like...
so you're ready? I was kind of... I bought a bag of walnuts and was going to eat those for a couple of weeks, but no, you're good to go. Okay. Also, no one knew how to get there. Didn't they all the Muggles, all of them saw the raft come up with the kids on it, right?
Correct.
They forgot the technology of their... They just like, quick, break that into kindling and never think of it again. Was that the command from your...
Yeah,
but sort of like now that I've seen a floating thing, I pretty much understand the concept. Forget you ever saw it. Members of the jury, you did not hear this testimony.
Yeah, it's so one. He says, I'm working on a plan. It takes him all night, and then the plan is a boat, which to the Nevilles, I guess, are just in awe of his planning there. I don't know, yes. But. It's the question for me would be like, well, then sure, like we all thought about boat, but like how are we going to build a sailboat? But I guess that's just part of his plan.
And then it gets to the gag, which I'm like, oh no, please no. Yeah. Here's the gag, and gag is in heavy scare quotes. We're gonna build a sailboat. Zyn informed the Scruffy gang. They're beyond scruffy, I think.
They're terrorists.
There's terrorists who are actively bleeding out. A boat, you say? We're going to build a boat? Boggs questioned him. Yeah, that's what I said. A B-O-A-T, boat, sailboat, Zyn said angrily. How are we going to build a B-O-A-T boat, sailboat, Zyn? Stubby asked. And then that becomes a thing. They spell out boat every time. Which leads me to I forget. Oh, it says who this is. Okay. Whoa, wait 1 minute. Whoa, wait just 1 minute here. Just what are we going to do with the B-O-A-T boat, sailboat? Chops yelled as he strutted forward, blowing a huge bubble with his gum and popping it with his fingers, waving his hands in front of him. So, was he talking through the gum? Or did they have to wait for him to finish doing the big bubble? And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. Okay. Hang on. Oh, still kind of dry. Hang on 1 second. What are we still waiting? Oh, shit, I popped too early. Hang on, I got to blow a huge bubble. Like, would you just tell me the end of the sentence? Chops. It does look like one of those, like, it's his actions there as he blows a huge bubble and pops it, also waving his hands in front of him, looks like a glitched AI image, where there's an extra hand or something. He's somehow managing to talk. He has two mouths. So they begin building the BOAT boat?
Yeah, they cut down their own house. I think they cut down their own tree house. They fill it with logs. They steal twine from Pluck. Yes. They steal balls of twine from Pluck. Which like, are we calling that terrorism? Because that's pretty pathetic.
That's what I wanted to ask, is by afternoon the beach was filled with logs and huge balls of twine the Nevilles had taken by force from Pluck. So the taking by force from Pluck was not pictured, but that is sort of like,
yeah.
No, you'll never get my twine. It's the one thing that I do. That's my one job here. Oh, you cut me. I think you got my liver. Yeah, bleed out, you piece of crap, Pluck.
Yeah.
Kick him in the face as you leave. You
Tell him Boggs did it.
I want to look in his eyes as he dies. Come on, Boggs, we got to get going.
Boggs, this isn't about the twine, is it? Hemp twine? We're left to speculate for ourselves. True. It's not specified. And then it takes them 2 days to build the, admittedly, they call it a crude boat, but this is sort of like, well, this was damn easy. Why didn't we think to do this years ago? I mean, we could be exploring or fishing anywhere, not alone this island.
And, if you were going to build a boat and you were on this lush land that is now, how would you do it? Well, the hull was constructed of 3 branches tied together with the hemp twine taken from Pluck. The Manchineet tree was stripped of every inch of its bark, and the Neville's treehouse was disassembled and the lumber used. So I don't know whether the bark was part of the construction, but they want to take the radioactivity with them, I think is the point. It's like,
now we feed off of it.
Yeah, I'm getting kind of used to it. Yeah, I don't have any toes anymore. I like it.
Yeah, now I consider it the only thing that's keeping me alive. That's how much I've come to depend on it. I'm so radioactive. Also, though, we know that there are lots of trees. I mean, there was trees. They read the book under next to Lemonade Lake. Like, why cut down the one that you live in just in case this doesn't work out?
It does seem rather short-sighted.
But not their the plan. Maybe he should have taken more than one night to come up with this plan. If that's what they're doing,
yeah. Take your time. No, I got it. I'm done.
That is also something that you consider that this was a little half baked as you read the final step of building the boat. It says rubber tree pitch was heated in big black iron kettles over open fires until it melted into the consistency of liquid tar to waterproof the rickety hull of the vessel. The Nevers used swab-like brushes, I would call those swabs, to spread the very, very hot tar across every inch of the boat's interior and exterior. I mean, someone takes you down to the ocean to build a boat, you're probably not going to necessarily know what you're doing. You might make a few errors.
Can I just ask before you go on, because I know where you're going. From whom did they take by force the giant black iron kettles?
That's a good question.
Those were not in the treehouse. Like, hey, over there by our Cheetos and, cup of soups, why do we have 2 giant iron kettles?
Yeah, they went into the town and roughed up Stregonona, I guess, to take these kettles.
Left her for dead. Okay, go on.
And so by the time the Nevilles finished, their tiny hands were blistered and burned. Their bodies were singed black from the heat of the rubbery tar. When nightfall arrived, their skin felt as though it was on fire. They leapt into the ocean waves where the soothing salt water cooled the heat of their 2nd and 3rd degree burns. The tar remained on their skin after they left the water and hardened into big black scabs all over their little bodies. So in case you were worried that the authors, felt like they came out of the gate a little hot with the opening nuclear holocaust and had toned it down since then, now you have these teenagers burning the flesh out of their body. I had to look it up because I was like, is this like DEF CON where it's the reverse of what you think? No, 2nd and 3rd degree burns are where it like burns down through the muscle and into bone.
Yes.
That's like immediate grafts needed, medical attention.
Yes.
You could die from shock, who knows, but like, nothing a little salt water full of krill and bacteria won't cure.
Speaking of coaches, throw some salt on that. That'll be fine.
And then big black scabs of tar all over their bodies.
So what are we doing to these characters? They're already like suppurating wounds, like open sores, like Toxic Avenger style, their hair hanging down stringy, like falling out of their head in clumps. Now they have big, like Big black scabs all over their bodies.
Yeah, they sit.
Do they have any flesh that can hold big black scabs? I pictured like it's just like soft, squishy, melting flesh.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe everyone just looks around and says, "Well, at least I didn't get it as bad as that guy." Not seeing what they self look like, but
wow, that is grim.
Yeah, a lot of people would question their leadership. I'm thinking of the guy who brought them here, but also I would question the tar swabbing process if you continue to do it once you have suffered your first, second, or third degree burn, let alone being covered with all of them. So,
yes, and by the way, on Aura, they have the same system of burn ratings that we do
Good point.
in the Western world. So, good on them. So when they call in to like a modern hospital, I'm like, yeah, I'm treating some guys with tar wounds. Like, oh, second and third degree burns. I understand exactly what you're saying. Yes. Glad we share the same scales.
Yeah. And we've talked about how the sun would have affected them, having never seen light before. So that's, that probably was, you'd think that would have changed the scale, because a severe sunburn would have just been like probably fatal. And now you've got these second and third degree burns. But it really is like The Stand, though. It's the man in black moving them to Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's true.
All these other. They had a nuclear bomb. They were rotting away too from their own hate. But it's another lawsuit was in order.
So they get their craft ready. Their skin felt like it was on fire. Oh, the Neville sat for hours. I think I missed this. I didn't write this down, but it's worth it. Long into the night, painfully picking the tar scabs from one another. My God.
So they're like chimps grooming each other.
You'll feel better afterwards. I don't feel any better. It's worse.
As a children's author, when you write the sentence painfully picking the tar scabs from another, do you sort of just like take a little walk and be like, what am I doing?
Mommy,
yeah,
stop reading the Muggles book to me.
It is into like model land level at this point of just, what was that guy's name? Nuki, or remember that there was a guy who like got the Hunchy. There was a hunchback who like got burned alive and crawled over the wall.
That's right.
Wow.
So the Muggles all come to see them off in their rickety craft.
Yeah.
But at least it's covered in hot burning
waterproofed
pitch.
in tar.
So Zyn and the Nevilles were swept away by the tidal wave. The boat broke into hundreds of pieces as it swirled around and around and up and down and up and over gigantic waves that ripped and tore the rickety craft apart. So, they're dead, sad, but, they were terrorists.
Yes.
So it's kind of hard to feel sad. It's like, okay, weird end to the book, kind of strange, but okay.
You could feel sad they were never held accountable for their terrorism. Like that could be something that upsets you,
That's true, yeah. But Rah's eyes filled with tears as he watched his brother. How did he recognize him as his brother? Covered in fresh, like, tar wounds and,
Yeah, he's sort of like he's meeting someone new, or like they're going on a double date. Like, I'm Rah. This is my fraternal twin, Zyn. Not identical. Thank you. Like, we do not look alike. Thank you.
I once met my uncle came up to me at like a family party. Like I hadn't seen him in 20 years. He's 20 years older. He's like gray. He's like, now he's got a beard and everything. He walks up. He's like, hey, Mike, how's it going? Arm around me like, good. Good. He talks to me. I'm like, yeah, all right. What's going on? He's like, it's Bob. I'm like, oh, okay. Can't expect me to have known that you were, last time I saw you look nothing like what you look like now.
Yeah. You go to I went to my 25th high school reunion. That experience will happen to you. This sort of like, hey, it's Frank. Yeah. Good to see you. Looks like you're Well,
God, your hair is so stringy. Your tar scab's so prominent. I mean, good to see you. I hear you have a good career going. Yeah.
how's the Manchineet tree business? That's still, yeah. That's that's going to be the next dragon fruit. They'll be in every store. I don't know who buys it, but it's still in every store.
I hear you married Nona. Good for you. Glad. She seemed lonely.
So she's okay with everything that's going on here, though. Huh? She's,
Cool. I'm going to go get a taco, a street taco. Do you want anything, or do you get okay? All right.
No, you're eating a tar scab off of chops. That's
Okay.
That's interesting. But okay, good. See you at the 30th. Ross cries a single tear, and it makes it seem like as he cries into the ocean, that's what causes the tidal wave. That was my reading the first time. I don't know if that's intended at all, but it does. It destroys the craft, and that's how the chapter ends.
So they're dead.
Peace. Yeah.
All right. But there's another chapter, so I guess this will wrap things up somehow.
Not the Legend
the
of
key
Zyn.
will be the key will be revealed. I assume
Key?
the mother and and Geoffrey appear on Aura. All of these things are going to be wrapped up.
A lot of loose ends.
Yeah, I'm looking at I have the PDF open here. I'm looking at the bar, and there's a decent amount left. I think we can pull this all off, tie up all the loose ends.
All right, you got faith in our author. That's good to see.
The worry stone will certainly come into play. The Greeblies
Lake
will be
figures prominently. They're
huge part of this. Yeah. So, all right.
Great.
Let's
do it.
move on
Chapter
to
12.
Chapter 12. Chapter 12, The Shadow Monsters.
Oh.
Wow. This sounds exciting. I'm
does.
excited by Shadow Monsters.
I bet it's artfully done and won't leave you confused as a reader.
I can't imagine. I mean, so the children the Nevilles all died. Children, no, one was an adult. I'm sorry, 18, right?
Boggs was
fully an adult. Okay, Rah. Now you don't know. Oh, Rah's worried about. I can't go on without my brother, Nona, Rah cried to the woman who had been like a mother to him.
Yes.
Okay, and she says this. Rah, now you don't know what has happened, or if anything has happened to your brother. He may have survived just fine. What? I just want to remind everyone what we just read. Waves rose as high as mountaintops, engulfing Zyn, the Nevilles, and their boats. They were swept away by the tidal wave. The boat broke into hundreds of pieces as it swirled around and up and down and over the gigantic waves that ripped and tore the rickety craft apart. Again, her response, he may have survived just fine.
Yeah. Where was that line of optimism from the Hindenburg announcer guy? Come on. Oh, they may have survived just fine, actually.
Oh, or they keep doing that with the Escape from Alcatraz guys, right? Who made a rubber raft out of like raincoats they stole from the. And it was like it was 30 degrees that night, and they were never found. But maybe they escaped. Like they'll be fine.
One of the most well-known places for great white sharks to congregate in the U.S. waters. And then her part of her reassurance is, let's face it, Rah, Zyn is just too darn nasty to die. Like, he was like a mother to him too. I mean, wow, jeez. Hope my mom never reveals that she's thought of me that way.
I mean, that does seem like something Sam Elliott would say about himself. Like, you don't look too good. Oh, hell, I'm too nasty to die. All right.
That hawk swooped off with that fox. I guess she's probably going to tear it to shreds. Nah, that fox is just too darn nasty to die.
Okay, I guess we're on Desra.
Mm-hmm. The Nevilles did not die. They were swept off onto the rocky shores of Desra. The boat is wrecked. Seymour, the albino hawk, is observing all of this to report back to Rah, by the way.
Seymour, the hawk who refers to himself in the first person.
Seymour! Bruised, choking, and gasping for air, the Nevilles washed up onto the dirty beach of Desra.
These guys. It's like, couldn't it be one of those like white sand beaches? Just give them like 10 minutes of like, wow, this is great.
They're doing a Sports Illustrated photo shoot there with some models. Like, well, okay, finally, the Nevilles have caught a break. No, their first glimpse of their new home was shocking. They were stunned and terrified. And it says, towering shadow monsters danced across the sand and rocks, headed straight for the castaways. And they try to run, but the monsters follow them wherever they go, and they finally take shelter inside a cave.
What dance do you think the shadow monsters were doing?
Oh, maybe they were doing like a da-da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Just like, yeah. Or just like the bunny hop. Da-da-da-da. Yeah. Da-da-da. Ah, that dance is terrifying. They want me to join the line because it's a wedding and I have to. They had no idea. So they go to the cave. They had no idea where the shadow monsters had come from, but they did know they were not going outside until they were gone. Don't worry about who the they was in that sentence. Don't worry. Sure. But they knew what shadow monsters were?
Yeah, see, it's not like, really...
How do you... Like, if you just lived... Like, remember, they lived there long enough under the nuclear cloud that they forgot what jealousy was. But they... Shadow monsters are like... I don't know, maybe that's in the book. And they all were familiar with the tale of the shadow monsters.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah. I'm just speculating because I don't know why they know about shadow monsters.
It's a good question, especially when you learn about what the secret of the monsters, which we'll dole out in real time as we get it. We'll leave if you're not reading along to speculate about what these might be. But the payoff, oh boy, does it pay off? They then wait in the cave all night long. It's sort of like, they fear that they're going to eat them. And then they duck out. Monsters scare them again. And then throughout the day, every time they do it, the monsters rear their heads. And they finally, night falls, and they walk outside, and the shadow monsters are not there. And Zyn thinks to himself that he's in control, and even the monsters fear him.
Yes.
So they go out and search for food. And this is finally when they catch a break. Because it says there wasn't much food, but they found seaweed and small patches of dune grass that had grown between the rocks. They grabbed and pulled at the grass and gathered the weeds, trying to get their share of what little food existed. All right, well, I mean, they didn't really plan ahead. They executed this plan rather quickly. It was all of less than 72 hours, I think.
So it was rather thrown together. No, you didn't go to the store and get the... space food or whatever.
50-pound drum of prepper supplies.
Yeah, or the dehydrated whatever, and like, we'll add water later. Don't worry, we'll find a water source on Desra.
Even if they did, it might have washed away in the colossal shipwreck. But
put it in those. I bought a bunch of Mylar bags. I mean, I took by force a bunch of Mylar bags from
Mylar is manufactured at the same facility here as the giant novelty sunglasses, by the way.
Okay, so here's what happened. After eating the greens, indigestion caused their bellies to swell and ache. They lay on the beach holding their swollen bellies, belching loudly and rolling around in pain. My God.
It's worse than Model Land, I feel like. I don't know if there was like belching and distended bellies in Model Land. Just had some big foreheads.
On this dirty beach. Also, guys, like, before you start eating grass, like some razor clams, the turtle over there.
Yeah, the abundant sea life,
Birds. There's a seal looking at you like with big eyes going, I'm friendly.
When you read about, Lewis and Clark exploring West, it just talks about how teeming with life all the rivers and forests were. You just scoop salmon out with your bare hands. Like they're in this untouched world. No one's ever been to this island, and they're just like, dune grass. Oh, it's not sitting well.
I think with the didn't they say that it's probably exaggerated, but the pilgrims, they wouldn't eat the lobsters, but so the Native Americans are like, here, let me go grab one. They grab one, it'd be like 4 feet long. They drag it into a fire and roast, and they're like, oh, gross. I'm not eating that. You can walk across the cod apparently.
Yeah. Miles Standish is just like got dune grass in his teeth, and
I'm good.
Oh God! Oh. Yeah, that's a tale that needs to be part of the tale of the first Thanksgiving. Let's impose that upon it.
Eating grass, distended bellies.
Squanto is like, we will be turning down their invitation to dine with them. Does not look good.
Come on over, guys. I will demur.
And it says there's another encounter with the shadow monsters, because as they're lying there distended and belching and farting, the shadow monsters show up again, and they freak out and run back to the cave. And Seymour reports back to them.
Yeah,
Seymour, the albino hawk, to Rah, and Rah's like, "Whoa, phew! At least they're alive. Much safer than they realize."
After he described the events in detail, Rah felt more at ease. So, squawk, I flew over, and they were rolling around on the ground, swelling up, holding out. They were covered in tar scars. They were suppurating. Their hair was stringy. It was a dirty beach. They were farting and belching and pain. They were vomiting.
They've established
profusely.
something they're calling a diarrhea pit, I think, is something that was the first thing they built.
In short, I just want to put you at ease.
Yeah, you've had the experience of dropping a child off at college, right? And sort of just, well, I've given you what I can. I've hopefully taught you and molded you, and this saddens me, but it also, I'm happy at the same time. And farewell, my beloved son. If you tuned in an hour later and they were swollen belly, belching from eating grass, you'd be like, I am not at ease, I would say. That's not how I'm describing my current mindset. I'm a touch alarmed that this is your first action out on your own.
It's making me finger the key that I have on my neck, which will surely come up later.
And so when she says they're much safer than they realize, I was like, she knows something about the shadow monsters. Like, she knows that they're actually good, or those are the ghosts of Muggles who have passed on, but they're going to help them. But it turns out to be even stupider.
It's way stupider, yes.
Yeah. That's the end of that chapter. Chapter 13 is called Feast or Famine, and I don't know. I would cast my money in with the famine option.
Yes, if I'm going to.
If you were making me, that's what I would bet, just based on how the Nevilles have handled things so far.
Yeah, I mean the feast may be one of those cartoon things where they come up over the sand dune and then they run at the pile of glittering food and the roast turkeys and the cheese and the dips and breads and everything, and then they realize they're eating sand.
Yeah.
That would be the feast that I would think of here if I was putting my money on it.
Yeah, but you, the audience listening, place your wagers. If you're listening with your children, let them bet, make them bet their weeks allowed. This next starts. Zyn stood by the cave's opening, gazing at the sunlit coast of Ara. Oh, sunlit, that's, sun is usually bodes well. His body was frail and his skin milky gray and diseased. He had stared through this doorway of disparity for 7 years now. With little forethought, he slid his weathered hand into the pocket of his tattered and filthy smock. His broken and cracked fingernails snagged the loosened threads of the ragged material until his hand rested at the bottom of his smock pocket. So it sounds like famine is the way it's going here on Desra. 7 years of famine has left him milky gray and diseased.
The other Nevilles have to be like, hey man, I'm carving this onto the side of the wall. It's been 7 years. And your smock is still only tattered and filthy, so good on you. That thing is held up well because it started out tattered and filthy. And 7 years has not aged it a day. It looks just like when we arrived here.
As soon as I got on this island, all the jealousy about my brother just melted away, so that has not caused the clothes to rot any further.
But at the bottom of his pocket, I assume things are going pretty good down there, right?
Nope.
The bottom of the pocket was filled with sand and dirt. He grasped the seam in his finger. You can turn your pockets out and get rid of that every now, but whatever. Pulling the pocket and watched the debris fell to the ground, making a little pile on the ground next to him, on the top of which he saw it would look like a rock. Wow, this is it. This is the moment. Wiping the rock against the belly of his smock. He's got a belly anyway, so that's good.
Yeah, and to clean it off, that might smear more filth on it.
He knew immediately what it was. The worry stone that Grandma Golden had given to him as a boy.
Yes.
As you recall, the worry stone could do what? Could solve any problem.
Oh, there we go.
So I was like, okay, this is it.
Yeah, long hang time. At least, probably close to a decade of hang time on him not having a problem that he needed the worry stone to solve. But at least he still got it. It was not washed away. He didn't notice it for 7 years on the island. But payoff time.
I also have to, can I be petty for a moment?
Sure.
He had stared through this doorway of disparity for 7 years now. Is she trying to say despair? Because disparity, like, if you really stretch, you could say, I guess he could see the other land and the disparity between he and the way he had lived before. Maybe if you tried really hard, you could say that was a doorway of disparity. But I'm going to go with Occam's razor and say she thought that despair could be turned into the word disparity. But
yes.
Anyway, I don't know.
Searching just now, I mean, this book is not online, so it does not turn up, but there is one other result on all of the internet for the phrase doorway of disparity.
Okay.
And it is from a poem called Seven Voices by a guy named Joshua Torres on PwnHunter.com. Proving that my mind is sane, for like my knife I'm quite sharp, removing proof of her soul's depart and cleaning the mess on the floor, ensuring that my wonderfully horrific deed remained only with me, myself, and I, deceived yet again by the demons residing happily in my mind, entering through the doorway of disparity in quest to obtain love. That sounds like it could have been written by Zyn.
Yeah, I was going to say, there was filth at the beginning. That's good. That's a good sign.
Oh, brother, I forgot that. I didn't read the line right before that. Holding her close, my knife rends her neck and relieves her of her breath. This is quite the poem. Oh dear.
Sounds like a terrorist.
All right. I hope you. It's been rated 3.5 stars on PwnHunter.com. So he thumbs the worry stone. And
yes.
As you might have guessed by us building us up and saying now it's time for it to pay off, it does not pay off, and it's never mentioned again.
No. But a guy comes in and interrupts him while he's talking, and he addresses him as Teeter. He growled. The creature standing before him barely resembled the loudmouth Neville who had come to Desra. Teeter's eyes were glossy and cat-like, making it easier for him to see in the dark. So 7 years, you can already, I guess those cave fish that, yeah. Wild hair covered his arms and legs. So they got to be happy about that, right? For the first time in their lives.
They were completely hairless.
They were.
Yeah.
His fingernails were long, resembling tiger claws, protruding from the tips of his tiny hands and webbed feet. Are the webbed feet new? I can't remember.
Webbed feet do seem to be new. Okay. Nothing else has been mentioned like that beforehand, but yeah.
Fingernails are not claws, radiation? By the way, so I don't, but claws are an entirely different thing from fingernails.
And this is not the guy who wanted to bite his fingernails. Like is the other guy just sort of eyeing those every single time he goes to sleep, just like licking his chops.
I don't know.
But like, I don't know. I would sort of start to worry about what the effect this cave is having on you. You know that radiation exists and exists naturally in this world. So, I mean, but 7 years, yeah, you're.
It's also overdetermined. Like we guys, we are eating grass. That could have something to do with it. Our ship is still giving off radiation. There's just so many reasons to think like this might be the cause of our webbed feet. It could be A, B, C, D. I mean, it goes through Z and on. You know,
webbed feet, hair just on your arms and legs, but covered. So just like you look like you've done design a monster in a video game or something, being like, all right, I'll go with the cat eyes, Bigfoot arms and legs, tiger claws, webbed feet. There we go. There's my creature.
But still like a bald, weird head protruding from the top of all the hair.
Yeah, it still has the conehead head.
Yeah, all right.
But he was not the only Neville that looked like this. They had all undergone changes in their physical appearance. Their bodies had adapted to the dark and rocky world in which they lived. They wore the evil that filled their hearts proudly upon their flesh. And it says, we don't like it here. We're sick of eating weeds. We want to go somewhere else, Teeter said, folding and propping his hairy arms on his protruding, bloated belly. And she's done a good job of creating some of the most revolting descriptions that we've had in the history of the podcast, and we've read Model Land.
I mean, it is sort of like, stop, he's already dead, though, right? Like, these creatures, we understand how disgusting they are. Like, but then on top of the suppurating sores were the tar scars. But then on top of those, I mean, she is really putting a hat on a hat here in terms of how repulsive they are.
Yeah, if it just ended with, a explorer from the first kingdom that we were introduced to in the book, just landing on the shore of Desra, seeing one of them, just blasting all 7 of them immediately with a shotgun and being like, well, these are going to be displayed in the museum, these horrible freaks. He would not put it past anybody.
Yeah, so then one of them like says something in English, like "tell my father," and like just shoots him again immediately.
Yeah. All right, we won't display that one. That one is I blew that one's head off. But there was only 6. Everyone, right? We got our story straight. There was only 6.
So he's. Oh, there's. By the way, speaking of putting the hat on the hat, Teeter's like, we got to go back. Teeter's mouth watered, drool running down and over his chin at the thought of all the succulent fruits and vegetables that were so plentiful on Ara. This is the first time in 7 years that he's done this?
Yeah.
Like, you know what? It's been 7 years. This grass is starting to seem like, 2 miles away is all this. They look over, they're like roasting a pig on the beach and having a luau.
Yeah, you could probably get a hint of the aroma actually wafting over if the wind's hitting, right?
Right. You can just call over. You've been on water before. The water carries the sound.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, could you turn your speakers up a little? I love that song. Sure thing, man. You guys eating grass? Hell yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
We're having a drool off. I just read that and I was like, this better be leading towards cannibalism. This seems like all the signs are here to pointing towards like one of them drawing the short straw here.
Everyone's starting to look like a hot dog or a hamburger talking to them.
But you have to imagine the hairy arms and legs are not super appealing, but those fatted bellies. I mean, that's just unless you just sort of take stab into it and just like burst and all the gas is released from the bloating. Anyway. So yeah, they want to go back to the mainland and sort of do a raid so they can get all the food, which, yeah, like you said, this is an idea you have after 7 minutes maybe here and not 7 years, but whatever.
Yes.
And they go down to the water after a couple days. They're planning this, but they don't really know how they're going to get there. And their solution is they find 5 giant clams.
Yes.
And they're going to turn them into essentially, I think we're meant to picture the birth of Venus painting.
Yeah. And this is the first that they've explored the beach, I guess.
Yeah.
Up till then, they have not been curious.
I guess so. Yeah, they got as far as the dune grass and no further.
So he, in finding the shell, he like picks up like 7 gooey ducks, which he throws over his shoulder. And I'm like, ugh, what's that? And just like, give me some more grass. I'm going to pull this shell out of the ground.
Yeah, damn it! I cut my bare feet on another oyster shell. These things are everywhere. And he instructs them to not only harvest these oysters, but they also go back in and harvest a lot of Bordonian moss.
Yes.
Yeah, which is growing all over their cave.
Yeah, that sometimes worked and sometimes didn't for the Indians, as you recall, who had previously lived, I guess.
Correct. I forgot that the Indians had discovered, heavy quote, Indians had discovered the Bordonian moss. Perfect. Yes. And it is growing in their cave, too, which they described as the cave having mythical-looking rooms, which amused me.
Yes.
Well, what type of myth are we talking about here? Which culture's myth? I don't know. Just, anyone.
All right. So 7 years on this island, they're eating grass. They're fearless leaders making no plans to do anything else. Like, this is what we're going to do. Year 2, they're probably getting restless, going like, my belly is getting more distended.
I've got a 9-year plan.
And then he's like, okay, just hang on. Give me a day. I've got a plan. So this is his plan. After we land on Aura, we'll put some of this stuff, the Bordonian moss, in Rah's face. Drag him back to the vessel, lay him on his new bed, and bring him to his new home right here on Desra. He will sleep forever, Zyn said with a vengeful tone to his voice. I assume they encircled him like Julius Caesar and stabbed him to death. Brutus carrying the knife. Yeah. Is that your plan? Is that your final answer on the plan? Yes, it is. Stab, 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 stab.
Boggs licks the bloody knife. I'm in charge here. Anyone have any problem with that?
Not at all, Boggs. No, sounds good. Gosh, I wish I had fingernails.
Yeah, no mention of the juicy tomatoes and fresh ripe peaches that the other guy was salivating over. He just wants to go bring back his brother, and have him just sleeping with the moss. He's not even going to go over there and slit his throat.
So we go back home, right, mm-hmm. right, and we just gorge on all the great stuff. No, I don't think you heard me. We take my brother, we stuff Bordonian moss in his face. Wait. Maybe I'm hearing you wrong. It's probably the pollen from the Manchineet tree or whatever. I can't hear you. No, that's my plan.
Let me clean out my ear with my webbed hand, which my hands are also webbed. It's revealed, but
God, I keep stabbing my own ear with my tiger claws. God, this is so annoying.
Yeah. I mean, that's the problem with letting someone who's so jealous that it's transformed their clothes be your leader.
That is true.
It sort of does tend to be all-consuming. So then he says, like, oh, yeah, but that will send them a message, essentially. They know if we have Rah that we can do anything we want, and then we can get tomatoes, essentially. But it sort of is putting the cart before the horse, it seems like. Since they are terrorists.
Yes.
It seems like they could just be like, give us your tomatoes and we blow up the school kind of thing.
Right.
But
I do like that after 7 years that Frady is still like, he says something to Frady. He's like, who, me? You want me? Frady asked, his teeth chattering and his body shaking from head to toe. Yes, you little coward, Zyn barked. You're 7 years in, guys. Really, You haven't grown at all. Like, that's like just a bad marriage. Like from the outside, everyone else can see like, man, you guys haven't, you really need to work on this relationship. You're still doing this? Oh, man, Frady.
Chops hasn't like said a word in 6 years. He like communicates through his own little like tap language because the cave made him go blind. But Frady is still doing the typewriter teeth chattering type of thing.
Me?
Chops glows in the nightlight. He's he's sort of like bioluminescent at this point in time. But Frady is still
still doing the same shtick.
So they paddle the clams ashore. Using their webbed hands as paddles.
Yes.
And when they get there, they immediately go back to the mill house. I liked this. Frady was nervous. He's tiptoeing backwards behind Zyn, and he totally panicked as he followed Zyn, clearing the clump of moss. Zyn turned around and gave him the most evil look he had ever seen and waved at him to hurry. So that's, who knows what that could possibly look like. That was not in the illustrated copies of the books, unfortunately.
Yeah, I wanted that as well. I wrote that down, like, please. Yeah, I want to see that.
Kubrickian look up at the camera kind of thing, like, but with your rotted teeth falling out of your mouth. He lost a molar as he was doing the look. Sort of spatted at Frady.
And so it's a success, as seen by this line from Zyn.
Okay.
Voila! As Chef Franck would say, Zyn exclaimed, throwing his hands in the air and declaring his success. He's been saving that for 7 years. That is pretty good. Chef Franck? Oh, right. 6.5 years ago. Yeah, he got stomach cancer and died. It was horrible. His wife is here, like, wait, Chef Frank's still not around? My whole line was based on that.
Yeah, we moved on.
There's a couple guys who remember him. Do you remember him, Hank? Like, no, I don't remember Chef Frank.
No, his catchphrase was "Bam." Oh, right. Damn it, I remembered it wrong.
Why did I do the chef's kiss? No one does that anymore.
I had to look. It is the only mention of a chef or of Franck or of Chef Franck as a united thing. It will leave us forever curious who that was, if it was, it sounds like someone who could have been in the old world, like where his mom sent them from, but he obviously wouldn't remember that. He was a newborn baby when he was set on the raft, so. But not in the character glossary either.
So he's been gone long enough that he's doing the thing that old people do, like, oh, Debbie's going to take me to Mass this morning, and then I'm going to go, like, I don't know Debbie. I think your Chef Frank would put it this way. Like, I don't know, just let him go. He seems very happy about that.
And see, what are you saying voila to, as Chef Frank would say, is they drugged his brother with moss, dragged him down the thing, pushed him over a cliff, and then he rolled down until it hit the side of a giant clam. So then he says, voila! Chef Frank, was Chef Frank saying that? Has he like pulled a souffle out of the oven? Because it's just the context is a little different, Presumably, he's very good chance that Rah is dead. You've drugged him and then thrown him off a cliff. So
it does seem like, have you ever done that where you have something you're going to say? It's kind of like that. The old video of boom goes the dynamite. Like, obviously, you have that loaded and like, it doesn't apply here. You shouldn't be pulling that out. But like, voila, as Chef Frank would say, it's the only thing that I prepared and it doesn't work in this situation. I think the French term for it is like the wit of the staircase as you're leaving. I should have said this. Like,
sure.
I said
George Costanza jerk
voila, Chef Frank was.
Be interested to see what movie you could most improve it by inserting it in as a replacement line of dialogue. Yes. Princess Leia says to Han Solo, "I love you," and he says, "Voila," as Chef Frank would say.
Oh, is that the end of that chapter?
It is. They row back in their giant clams. I don't know why they harvested 5 giant clams for these 7 and now 8 of them. That's not explained.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not questioning anything in the book at this point in time because I do believe we're nearing the final chapter. We're in the final chapter, chapter 14, a winged investigation.
Yeah. So okay. So they did eat, but it was a commando raid on the beach, right?
Oh yes.
Okay.
They stole some oranges, beans, and apples and loaves of bread.
Okay, yeah.
They didn't take any, seeds or anything like that to try to self-sustain. I think this is their plan going forward. Is that now we have Rah, we'll do these raids on the regular.
I think we talked about this before, but giant vegetables to them, right? Because they're like children, but they would use acorns as buckets.
Correct, and
so if they're taking oranges and beans, like, is a bean the size of like a football, or what are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's like a cartoon. They just cut one big slice of bean for everybody around the table.
Who wants a slice of bean? So I don't know, but anyway, they eat, which I'm not a nutritionist, and especially not, a trauma nutritionist. But I think if you've been eating nothing but grass, I don't think you should just immediately start eating,
gorge yourself at Golden Corral.
Yeah.
No, it would go very poorly. Everything that I've been told. Like you need an IV with nutrients before you can even try to ingest anything solid.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, but that's what they do.
But they're not people who are not used to gastric distress at this point in time. So
that's true.
That's sort of how they live their lives. The final chapter starts with the Muggles realizing that Rah has been abducted. Ur and Golda are very upset, and you get a deeply unfortunate Ur not being able to hear routine again.
When I saw that, missing. I was like, oh no. I mean, we have so much to do. Again, the key, the stone, the other kingdom has to discover their sons.
He worries about his mother. He sees her in his dreams.
He's got to wrap up, I assume he saves his brother and turns him into an upright citizen, and then returns
redemption
to the mother and all of this. So this has to happen pretty quickly. But instead we get the, what's that?
Rah's missing. Who's kissing Rah? Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is reported to them by Carmine, a big red cardinal.
Oh, I missed Carmine.
That was his only appearance. So
okay.
And then Carmine reports that they did already have a talking bird in their service, and so that bird, the one that they've used before to go over and check on the island, Seymour, the albino hawk, shows up. And you'll remember this. You'll remember that in the trial, another point of evidence in her favor was that she had an albino bird in their service, and they had a Harry Potter's white snowy owl Hedwig. And the jury was also like, you can't say that a bird doing things for you is a thing. That's not something you can trademark.
By the way, he was rubbing his eyes with the other hand, and his suspenders were hanging on either side of his wrinkled pants. Which I'm pretty sure I rode the bus with that guy every day back in the day before I got my own car.
Oh, boy. He had an ear horn, too. And you're like, I'm not sitting next to that guy.
He talks to the bus driver. He seems fine. Yeah, don't engage him.
Your clothes looks a little tattered and wrinkled. You've been hanging out under the Manchineet tree? What? No. This is just my outfit. Why?
Manchineet tree? Cats eat some pee? No, God, son of a...
No, seriously, stay away from that tree. It's incredibly toxic. It causes Zyn to do this. So Seymour says he saw them dragging Rah ashore back at the other island on Desra. And what they say, he says he needs the Book of Tales.
Yeah.
And he sends Pitter and Patter to get that. We haven't heard from them in a while.
No.
And I was shocked by this part. Kneeling on he sends them to retrieve it from the mill house, I think. Yes. Kneeling on the floor just beneath the windowsill, they saw the small trap door that Ur had described to them. It squeaked as they struggled to pull it up, and the weight of the trap door caused them to fall over backwards on the floor as it opened. Pitter held onto Patter's feet as he dropped into the hole and grabbed the ancient book. They stopped holding hands.
Oh.
They were always holding hands. This is just a shocking development. They could have sent any other two characters that wouldn't have needed to abandon their entire thing.
I also thought about this, the secret he sent them to retrieve the ancient book. It was hidden in a secret place that only Ur and Rah knew about. But I mean, everyone was involved. Like the beavers were cutting the boards. So you want the secret place over here? I was going to do just kind of a stained oak finish on that, or do you want something else on that? The secret, about the secret, we're going to hide the... Okay, but if somebody's got to build it. I don't know what you want me to do. Should I just leave it open and you'll finish it later?
How often are you going to be accessing the secret place? Because we got to put a load-bearing wall somewhere. So this is a place you're going to go in and out of daily. We'll make it in a more convenient place. If this is like a once every 3 years secret place, then it'll probably work out there, but it's not going to be as accessible.
Can you do trapdoors? I can, but cause you to fall over backwards from the weight of them. I mean, it's easier to just put, I got spring hinges on it. I can show you a whole bunch of hardware if you want to come to our shop one day.
Yeah, you come on out. You know what's really popular these days is those bookcases where you pull one book off and then a whole door opens behind that. Like, I got to really set you up a really nice one of those. I will say in advance, we are looking at a 5-figure cost for those. It is worth it. Excellent craftsmanship.
Oh, if you can bring that number down and, well, I can, but then someone would have to hold the other person by the feet to get them to go down into the hole. No, that's fine.
Don't recommend it. It's not code.
Okay.
I mean, you spend this money once, you're going to be happy with it for the rest of your life. You don't spend it, you will regret it every day.
Yeah. But I just need you to sign this that you do want me to put the low-level trapdoor on there that you have to lower some. Okay, thanks for signing that. I'll do what you're the man. You're in charge.
Yeah. And I would just like to point out that I did this entire conversation without making a damn joke pun. So kudos to me as the beaver for not taking that easy way. Hundreds of Beavers. You see that movie?
Oh, I did not. It came recommended from. Is it good?
It's fantastic.
Okay.
It's a joke taken to its absolute extreme. I highly recommend it to everyone listening. Okay. The best movie of last year. It snubbed at the Oscars. I was so disappointed. So the Beavers have built a trapdoor. They've retrieved the book. They opened it to the year of the Voyagers and found some information to build boats based on there. So say what you will about Zyn, he didn't need the Book of the Ancients to build his damn boat. It was destroyed immediately, and they didn't really work out for them. But I don't know, preternatural ability at shipbuilding?
Why did they need to go to the ancient book? They rescued the twins on a it says construct strong ocean-going rafts. The book opened with a strong ocean-going raft. Yeah. What did you do with it? Or the knowledge of it?
I mean, that was pulled by a sea cow for a while. So maybe that was sort of, they can't rely on that every time they set a craft into the water.
I guess it's true. But it was ocean-going. It proved how long was it? It was quite a while.
Weeks? Yeah, I mean, it was at least 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah. Wow.
And by evening, they've built these rafts. So these people once they commit to something, they can do it pretty easily. I don't think they're radioactive either. They've also armed them with catapults, and they have harvested Chinese lantern pod plants, which just are essentially Chinese lanterns that you light and they float away, filled with fireflies. Mm-hmm. So they've loaded the raft with those and set them out to sea. And this is the big reveal. I guess this is the penultimate chapter. I'm sorry, it was a short one.
Yeah.
Yer says, the one weapon we have, my children, is the Neville's fear of shadow monsters. They don't realize that the monsters are not real. And so it says, these pods filled with fireflies will create light against the darkness. Hence, the Neville's most feared enemy, shadow monsters. And this is sort of where you, the reader, are left to be like, wait, the shadow monsters are just them seeing their shadow? That's why they can go out at night? Correct?
That's what I concluded, but that is not clear.
It's not clear at all. So that is what we're led to believe. They're gonna go there. They're gonna bring light to the darkness. So then they'll see the shadow monsters at night, and then they won't be able to come out anymore. This would make sense, yes, given if the situation on Aura from the beginning of the book, when the twins brought the light there, they would have never seen shadows before. They've had light for 18 years at this point in time, so certainly there were shadows shining on Aura. Correct?
I did not understand this. Yes, there was light. There was always light for those guys, right?
Ever since the twins arrived, there has been a steady sunlight. Cause all the giant vegetables and such.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I don't get it.
Okay. Let's check.
And also, why would they, if someone saw a shadow and you said monsters, then wouldn't the second person maybe would go like, yeah, that's a monster, but the third would go, settle down. Right? I mean,
Their brains are warped by the Manchineet tree.
It's true.
Just oozes out of their ears every now and then in this thick black tar.
But what he reveals this is Yor, so I assume his suspenders are hanging down over his shoulders, his baggy pants. Hence the Neville's most feared enemy, shadow monsters, Yor said, as he wiggled his fingers in front of him like a witch. We've had quite a few witches in the Rift-Trax universe, right?
Oh, sure.
Nothing immediately comes to mind. We had the grocery witch.
The witch that created Thumbelina.
We had the Hansel and Gretel witch.
Oh yeah, played by Eugene Levy.
Yeah, we had the witch who lived in the Chickenfoot house in Frost.
Father Frost. Hurl the Wizard in Jack the Giant Killer.
Yeah. So I don't know what wiggling your fingers in front of you like a witch means.
Yeah, is it like the guy in Aladdin who's going like, hi, diddy, hi, diddy, hi?
I guess it could be that.
Yeah, there's no like direct Disney analog. I'm led to believe this is ripping off here, like the one who gives Snow White the apple. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's what Yor does anyway. But it just seems less, I don't know, less gravitas when it's done by a guy whose suspenders are hanging over and he has wrinkly pants.
Yeah.
Like, are you trying to do witch fingers at me, you gross old man?
I mean,
load your pan? There's no pan. Like, God, I hate this guy.
I feel like if you like knocked on Dumbledore's door at 3 a.m., that might be sort of the what you get from him. Just like, what? Who? All right. Wow. That his robe's on. He is really not as impressive. That is.
Look past him and see quite a few wine bottles in there. Oh, got an Andre the Giant thing going on in there. Okay.
All right. So this is the real last chapter. Chapter 15, the Lantern Lights. We got worry stones to resolve.
A lot of
magic
stuff
boxes to unlock. Parents to reunite with, etc.
Yes.
As the Muggles raft neared Desra, Yor shouted, "Ready, aim, fireflies!" and a warlike scene broke out. They released the catapults, hurling lanterns of lights into the air. Flocks of birds flew overhead, dropping more and more pods onto the island. Everywhere, balls of light flew through the air and landed on the rocky shore. And then it says the Nevilles, Zyn and the Nevilles lay sleeping as the other Muggles are rowing onto the shore to rescue Rah. The Nevilles had passed out right there after feasting on their stolen spoils, and their overstuffed bellies and distorted figures blended in with the rocky landscape. So just a real... I wonder what she saw that made this the big focus of her physical descriptions here.
I would also point out that we weren't told that flocks of birds were aiding them.
You're
dropping
correct.
More and more pods. But, okay. Oh, so there is like a Luftwaffe as well. Okay. All right. There's that going on. And then one of the Nevilles goes, "Help me," he screamed as more fireballs flew past him. I mean, they're not fireballs, right? This is not like Roman fire. Nobody's burning from these, right?
No, I don't think it's like a Dresden kind of scenario.
Right. These are
lightning
fireflies coming out of little pods. But okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, they were mistaking, shadows in the daylight for monsters. So.
That's true. These are not the brightest bulbs, so to speak, on the tree. Okay.
But the Muggles are fine with this. This is like their SEAL Team 6 raid. They're just like, these terrorists are getting what they deserve. Like right. They don't deserve any better. They think they're going to die, and we are fine with them thinking that. They retrieve Rah, who was in the cave on a bed of unconscious on a bed of Bordonian moss.
Yes.
Seymour the albino hawk had given him a map of this place. He had come and mapped it all out. Glad they never thought to try to eat him. Throw a rock at a seagull and eat him, like Stephen King Survivor type, the story where the guy eats himself on a desert island. Right. Possibly the only grimmer story I've ever read, other than the Legend of Rah and the Muggles.
Yeah, eats his own fingers to start with, right? Yes. But they frightened. This is the Nevilles during this raid a little earlier. Frightened and still half asleep, they jumped up and ran around in circles in massive hysteria. I mean, that kind of seems like they're always just one step away from that, right? Didn't really need. I mean, I think like if you just took some of those firecrackers, I assume the beavers make firecrackers or whatever, and just threw like a quarter brick of those into the cave, they'd run around screaming in panic. I don't think it would take much. I don't know. It just seems like they over prepared. Like this didn't need to be D-Day to take care of the Nevils.
True, yeah. These are essentially Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern, like, doing takes to the camera. Whoa! And then they just run into each other and fall.
Yeah.
So they find Rah. They carry him away. And then they go back. They lift him onto their raft, and he regains consciousness. And they told him what Neville and Zyn had done. Anything else here?
They said, they'll stay. All the Nevilles will stay on the island. What is it called? Desra. They'll stay there because of the shadow monsters.
Yes, they've sort of planted these permanent lanterns there so that they assume that they'll always see shadow monsters now. I mean, imagine how crazy that's going to make them. These guys were barely hanging on to sanity as it was, and now they've got light all the time, like Al Pacino in Insomnia.
Right. But then, this is good. Back on Ara, Rah spent many nights wondering if his brother and the Nevilles would starve to death, confined in their cavernous prison. He didn't do anything about it. He just wondered. Yeah, I wonder if they'll starve to death. But then, with unwavering compassion, Rah requested that Seymour make daily deliveries of food. They were to be dropped on Desra from the air, guided by the light of the lantern. Seymour faithfully carried out his task each night. And I just thought, but it was too late. The Nevilles had died several weeks earlier from their diseased flesh and malnutrition and severe vomiting and diarrhea from having eaten the food.
Yeah, Seymour is just like, making the drops. He's just like, after 3 weeks, he's like, Rah, I can't keep doing it anymore. I got to tell you something. They are getting
those packs never move, man.
They're getting picked clean by crabs. That's. Well, here, let me continue reading because this is where stuff starts to happen. To this very day, many years after these events occurred, you could still see the glow of the lanterns of peace reflecting against the night sky. So each time darkness falls upon the daylight and you look up and see the stars twinkling in the distance, you will know that Rah is asleep and all around him is at peace. So this implies this is like an ancient myth, how the gods made the light, the stars in the sky. It's the reflection of these lanterns full of fireflies type of thing. Mm-hmm. All right, I'll just keep reading so we can get to the resolution we were talking about.
The key and the stones and the parents.
All around him, Rah is asleep, and all around him is at peace.
Yeah.
And so it has been told by the ancient book of tales in The Year of the Starlight. Character glossary. Octavia, keeper of the gardens, daughter of Pick and Pluck.
Wait.
Audrey, Lady Catherine's personal maid, mother of Kathleen.
Oh, hang on. When I was reading the PDF, I obviously erased 17 chapters that wrap this up, right? I had to have.
Must have been. I'll just check the print.
Yes, I accidentally, when I was transposing
something... it has been told in the ancient book of tales in the Year of the Starlight. It gets bolded and emphasized for some reason.
Okay.
Then, character glossary is the next page.
Wow.
Yep.
You talk about, crashing a story just pull it into the ditch and just leave it smoking by the side of the road.
That is
God.
That is a NK, like, all the evidence is due in court for this thing, and they need to see your manuscript for Rah, the Legend of the Muggles. Oh, I'm right there. I am just saving it right now. There we go. It's done.
Wow.
So no resolution on the Worry Stone, no resolution on the key. But in case you just needed a refresher, Bruiser is Zyn's pet Nardole.
Oh God!
I guess he
this glossary is supremely irritating because it has the actual this is not Anna Karenina, right? Which you know, like, so Peter. So you're reading, you're like, Peter. Who's Peter? Peter. See chops. Oh God. All right, yep. Hang on. Let me page back. There it is.
Cherubs. See ocean cherubs.
Oh, okay. Cut it out. Here's a good one. I noted this. This is petty, but I'm going to do it anyway. Bumper, 9 years old, a very shy boy who blushes easily with brown eyes. So he blushes with his brown eyes. Yeah, that's something I'd like to see.
Well, I mean, if Zyn's eyes turned yellow, maybe when Bumper blushes, it turns brown.
Can you check the text there, the canon?
Yeah.
Lady Catherine.
Sure.
I just want to make sure my PDF is. I assume it's a typo but I like the typo that's in here. I hope that it says it.
Okay.
What does yours say on Lady?
Cat is her nickname. She is the birth mother of Rah and Zyn. Was married to Sir Geoffrey Luttrell. She was 3 years old when her parents died, and she became Lady Catherine of the House of Sheridan. Beautiful blonder, tall and thin.
There we go.
Beautiful blonder.
Lady Catherine is a beautiful blonder. I'm going to say that to people that I just meet on the. Well, you're a beautiful blonder. Oh, get away from me, old man.
What else was in here? I mean, it lists all the Nevilles. It lists every character or animal that was mentioned once, you know. So you get Portia, a nosy porpoise who irritates Buddy, the barracuda, friend of Benjamin. Was Buddy? Oh, no, Buddy didn't even get his own entry. Wow, he's just contained somewhere down in Portia's. That's
okay, well,
Buddy erasure.
I was curious about... I need to find out. Spooners? What are spooners? Let me look that up. Spooners. See Natty and Nettie. No, I will not be doing that. Thank you.
I'll do it for you. Okay. See, what did it say? See Natty and Nettie?
See Natty and Nettie.
Okay, here. Nettie. See Natty. God damn it. Natty is from the sea of Nebula, a spooner of the deep, twin sister of Nettie. Misty young ladies who cared for the babbies, the nickname they gave to the twins as they cared for them on their ocean voyage. So that's like a choose-your-own-adventure puzzle.
Yeah.
You went to one thing and had to look three later. Incredible.
I just want to remind everyone, because this is in the glossary. Genetically mutated humans, hybrid humans, resemble children when fully grown, large hairless ears. I think this is a misprint. Tiny heads, large oval eyes, eyelids with no eyelashes, blue, violet, brown, and green, lumpy cheeks, narrow shoulders. The PDF has got a lot of typos, so forgive me. Narrow shoulders.
Lump cheeks. Like
lump cheeks. Okay, lump cheeks.
Lump cheeks.
Oh, so they got their buccal fat has not been removed yet, like Tom Brady. Narrow shoulders, thin arms, chubby hands, no punctuation, 3 fingers and 1 thumb. So that happened in 500 years.
Oh, how about that? Interesting. Yeah. So the long fingers are...
No fingernails. Is that in the... Is that in canon?
Wow. Yep, no fingernails. 3 fingers and 1 thumb.
Thin legs, chubby feet, 4 toes, no toenails.
So in the, by far, book we've done that has emphasized fingernail biting the most.
What?
What the hell? What was Frady doing?
Round, plump bellies.
Wow.
Half moon-shaped belly button. I didn't need that. Height 3 to 4 feet. Weight 45 to 90 pounds. I think we know who's hitting 90. I'm looking at you, Golda. Skin color. Wait. I thought they were blue.
Blue, yeah, blue was mentioned at some point in time, but I think
that color white, brown, beige, or olive. And then comma vegetarians.
I think they might have been blue up until the sun arrived.
Oh. I'm confused.
Yeah, hey, you know.
Did the fingernails grow after the sun arrived?
Wow, maybe. I mean, but like, why include that then? They're not fingernailless. They have fingernails.
Oh, wow. Anyway, do you want to know about Muggle babies?
Please.
Their pregnancies are 14 months long. Birth height is 12 to 14 inches. And birth weight between 1.5 to 2 pounds.
Wow, that's a little
tiny. So they're very
guy.
long and skinny.
Yeah, that's like a real string bean. Yeah. Jeez.
All right. Anyway, see the glossary if you care about bobbies and spooners and
some details are completely only revealed in the glossary, so it's important to read. You'll also get to revisit the characters from the first chapter who were never mentioned again. But
this is a thing you don't want. I don't know if I would write this down about it's Patter. It's in the Patter thing. Patter, a preteen boy who loves Pitter. All right. You're typing that like, maybe I should just hit return on this. I don't think I should probably.
Known for snapping his fingers, was he? Loosely fitting overalls? Wow, just like you're. A bright yellow handkerchief hangs from his right pocket. That did come up a lot. That was an important detail.
Yeah. He worked at TGI Friday, so he put a handkerchief in his pocket.
All right, well, let's read some emails to close this one out.
Mail call!
All right, these are emails from our beloved Jackal supporters over at patreon.com/372pages, where you can find out what's next before anybody else. This book sold out pretty quickly, so if you don't want that to happen again, go over there and support the podcast. We appreciate it. This one is from Rick. He says, my city has a project where it places art on the street in a rotation of styles and artists. I discovered this one today, and I find it disturbing. I'm sending you the picture that Rick has enclosed of it looks to be like human-sized statue on his city streets.
Oh, my. Wow.
It looks identical to a Muggle. It is certainly carved out of bronze. It has the elongated, horrible bald head. It doesn't have a half moon belly button, but it has a prominent outie belly button.
Full outie moon belly button, yeah.
But it looks identical to the illustration. So, awful.
Yeah.
Jory said, Muggleplication and Muggledome are listed on the trademark page, but neither are in the book. We were robbed of something clearly. 2 Muggles enter and 1 Muggle leaves. What the hell?
Well, we were robbed of a lot of things. So.
Correct. Yes. This is from Will. He liked our guessing game between N.K. Stouffer and Samuel Taylor Coleridge's Kubla Khan.
Sure.
However, he wished if we would also drop something from this excellent piece of literature: to seek the sacred river Alf, to walk the caves of ice, to break my fast on honeydew, drink the milk of paradise. I heard the whispered tale of immortality, the deepest mystery. From an ancient book I took a clue. I scaled the frozen mountaintops of eastern lands unknown. Time and man alone, searching for the lost Xanadu to stand within the pleasure dome. And he said, this is, of course, the song Xanadu by Rush. I love the podcast. I've been listening since episode 3. Like Mike, my first concert was Rush on their Power Windows tour in 1985. And while I do like Rush documentaries, I like their music even more. I wish I had known they had a song called that. I would have thrown that into the mix.
Not even I knew that, and I'm a huge fan of Rush documentaries.
Theodore submitted, I firmly believe that Zyn deciding to build his house under a radioactive death tree was the single dumbest thing any character in the 372 canon has ever done. Kate said, I just finished the book. What the heck was that? Of course, you remember the Poochie episode of Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons. They introduced the idea of the fireworks factory, but never ever make it there. That's what this whole book was like. I've never identified more with Millhouse's frustration. And then she lists some of the things she thought would be unresolved. I thought the Muggles would find and read the letter the twins' mom wrote. Nope. I thought Zyn would go back and open the treasure chest from the cave. Remember the cave they discovered the moss?
Oh, yeah.
Nope. That's right. I thought the worry stone Golda gave Zyn might help him to his redemption. Nope. I thought when he grew up, Rah might wonder what the key around his wrist might open. Nope. I thought maybe Rah would take the key and open the jewel case as an adult, and maybe that would help him and Zyn reconcile. Nope. The only idea carried through after it is introduced is Chekhov's moss. And even that lasts for 2 pages before any tension is completely dissipated. Oh, well.
Okay, yeah, we missed a few. I forgot about the cave had a treasure, a box, and that he wanted to get back to it. And that was
exactly
part of the jealousy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Todd mentions we see the apparent induction of dormant genes in the Nevilles. from the hair growing on them in the caves, long fingernails. And he says that, good God, Teeter has morphed into Howard Hughes. And he also did research. He says, it's been a while since I finished medical school, and my rather sedate suburban hospital doesn't deal with burns. But I consulted Google, and Mayo Clinic lists third-degree burns as involving all skin layers, sometimes the fat and muscle layers below. Treatment almost always requires surgery to avoid death or permanent disability. So Stouffer's as guilty as hyperbole as John Cleese's character proclaiming to have been turned into a newt.
I think I told you I won't go into any detail. I'll just leave it out there. A doctor said, wow, those are somewhere between second and third degree burns. When I was like, what are you going to do? I live with it. She's like, no, these need treatment. Someday I'll tell the story.
Please, that is just a mouth-watering excerpt. This is as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
This is in recent memory.
Very recent memory.
Okay. Mike's burn story will be told at some point in time.
Yes.
Alejandro wrote in to say that he has updated his 372's art character sketch with Rah and Zyn. They're going at it, fighting, but he's also included in his sketch. Now, this is of every characters from every book we've covered on here. He has included everyone's favorite bad boy, Chops, who is, if you look, he's in the on the left side. He's got his leather jacket on, his bald head. He looks evil. He's smoking a cig. So it's a proud addition to the canon of this amazing ongoing artwork Alejandro keeps making.
Wait, where he's on the left side?
Left side, top third on the left. There's 3 characters down.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's good.
The character below him is holding a bow, and he's got a key to all this too.
Yes.
And then I think you see Rah and Zyn are strangling each other there.
There's Chops. Yeah. Nice.
Well, I think that's it for emails. Why don't we close it out with our listener? Oh, wait. Oh, no. We have this one. This is from Veronica. She writes in, the mysterious balloons over New England clown van was a fixture in our city for years, and on numerous occasions we'd see their terrifying and suspicious vehicle around town. The decals clearly not updated in decades. We came upon its frightening brick-and-mortar location, sandwiched between a hookah shop and a shady bar, and thought, yeah, that tracks. They may be closed. 1-star reviews come up on searches, but the van still lives. My husband worked at a sign shop a while back. One day he opened at 5 a.m. He looked up from his plotter a moment later and saw a clown in full makeup standing at the door, balloons in hand, tapping very, very slowly at the glass. Flippo the clown was a cordial enough guy. He made the office a bunch of balloon animals waiting to pick up his order. I wanted to know if Flippo had been driving the van the whole time, but nobody got a look before he vanished as strangely as he appeared. It's still a mystery. And this is the storefront of the balloons over New England, which looks like this would have been like a place we would have gone to O'Brien's next to. Like,
well, I was going to say, that the bar there that you can barely see on the left.
Oh yeah,
you know who hangs out there, right? Uncle Fred. Damn right.
Still got his clown makeup on.
Yeah, you come in at 10:45, and he's already in there. The stab of light comes through the door, and he looks up, like his cigarette to his face, and like, who's that? Let me buy you one there, Captain.
I just like that we've established a podcast where anything that's potentially related to balloon perverts is alerted to us as an update.
We got to keep up on this stuff. Where else are they going to go for this information?
All right, dumb sentences of the week.
Dumb sentence of the week.
All right, this is from Heather. Neville's, Zyn's gang of followers, used to be Muggles, who are now frightened of them. They have become terrorists with bad attitudes. And she says, I don't know who is frightened of who here. I think that's based on the comma. The commas were coming fast and loose in the glossary section of the book where a lot of people chose their dumb sentences from. She also said, it's good to know that terrorists have bad attitudes. Mark said Zyn's wit was replaced by constant sarcasm. He asked, please just give one example of Zyn's former wit. Amy submitted, wait 1 minute. Whoa, wait just 1 minute. Here, just wait. Are we going to do with this BOAT boat, sailboat? She said it was the most irritating sentence in the book. I must agree.
That was bad.
Valentari said, attached to the water side of the building is a water wheel resembling a Ferris wheel constructed of an oak framework with mammoth-sized hollowed gourd buckets evenly distributed around it. And they said, saying that something is designed in the image of something that wasn't invented until 1,400 years after the first thing was invented is a new innovation in storytelling. Bart submitted, his dreams were so real to him that he often had to pinch himself just to make sure they were only dreams. He asked if Rah was asleep or daydreaming, or were the dreams real or not. I don't think I've been more annoyed or confused by a sentence since Irene Iddesleigh. Hayden submitted, Bluster, Golda's nephew, son of Renona, Golda's youngest sister and her husband, died when Bluster was 7 years old. He is now 16 and very insecure. And Hayden said, nobody has ever wielded commas more poorly than Stouffer, and Caleb Varney started a chapter with one. Craig submitted, Zyn, twin brother of Rah, leader of the Nevilles, insecure and jealous of his brother. He leave Ara for Desra, see Rah. And Craig said, the way this is written, it suggests Rah is the leader of the Nevilles. This sentence could have been fixed by making it into several sentences and adding the letter S to the end of a verb to make a better grammatical sense. We all know that's not in the cards, Craig. Come on. I also just like that Zyn gets one sentence and it says see Rah. Maybe that was part of the problem.
Yes.
Geoffrey submitted, to this very day, many years after these events occurred, you could still see the glow of the lanterns of peace reflecting against the night sky. And he says, you might think there's a massive flaw in the logic here, but that's just because you weren't listening when Rur read from the year of the immortal fireflies. Cameron submitted, he bites the nails all the time, twisting his head into positions that give him the right angle to chew every little piece of nail from his fingertips. Jacob and Alejandro both submitted, the Nevilles are terrorists and very threatening to the Muggles. Janelle, Andrew, and Jay, our 9-year-old listener, submitted, yeah, I got him right where I want him. Oh, yes, I do. Diddy do. And they said it's the most evil sentence of the week while also adding in a doo-doo joke. And the diddy doo-doo reminded Andrew of an evil Ned Flanders. This is another popular one. Nathan, Balaji, and Amanda all submitted. When the nightfall arrived, their skin felt as though it was on fire. They leapt into the ocean waves where the soothing salt water cooled the heat of their 2nd and 3rd degree burns. Amanda said, did they only do this because the lemon water wasn't close enough? And I don't remember if it was Nathan or Balaji that said, when I was 10 years old, I burned my leg with coffee, then went to the beach. I can personally attest that salt water is not very soothing. Also, 3rd degree burns are like what the lady who got burned by McDonald's coffee had, so maybe N.K. Stouffer was just a bit of those fan of all those Jay Leno bits. Chap submitted from the glossary. He is a fruit tree specialist, married to Pick, father of Octavia, see Pick. And he says this is from the pluck entry in the character glossary because it is worded so poorly, it implies a same-sex marriage between the male character Pluck and Pick, father of Octavia. Bonus points, although the pluck entry says see Pick, there is no entry for Pick.
Oh my God.
And here we go. This is quite the sentence here. I'll try to get through it. From Jessica. They became genetically mutated humans. Hybrid humans resembled children when fully grown. Large hairless ears, tiny ears, large oval eyes, eyelids with no eyelashes, blue, violet, brown, and green, lumped cheeks, narrow shoulders, thin arms, chubby hands, 3 fingers and 1 thumb, no fingernails, thin legs, chubby feet, 4 toes, no toenails, round, plump bellies, half-moon-shaped belly buttons, height 3'4", weight 45 to 90 pounds, skin color white, brown, beige or olive, vegetarians. We didn't start the fire. My one, I don't think I've read, but is good because we did a bit about it. Beavers jumped into action like experts.
My sentences were all, I think they were out there, but I want to revisit a couple things in the glossary.
Okay.
Chops, see Peter, please. His given name is Peter. It has it embroidered across his leather jacket, and then it says C period H period O period, but that's in quotations. So does he have the periods? And if so, then what is Chops? What is that?
An acronym for?
What is it an acronym for?
Wow.
So that I would really love to know. Like Peter, but they call me Chops, and then the acronym would explain why they call him that.
Yeah, cannibalistic humanoid, and that's where it sort of falls off the rails.
The other one is, I forgot about, I don't know where he comes up. Fife? Do you know
Yes.
Fife? This is a good description, though. Fife, a 32-year-old single man who plays the flute made from a swamp tail. Wonder why he's single at 32.
Slamming him, yeah.
He's
He's an old maid, George. He never married.
Yeah, look, I play a flute. It just happens to be I barely play it. Like, nah, we're gonna call you Fife. Now, come on, don't hang that around my neck. I'm never gonna fight. Hi, it's nice to see you at this bar as a first date. My name is Fife. Like, goodbye. All right.
Well, it does, however, retroactively make a bit more sense. Not a lot of sense, but it says the rhythm, this is Fife's only mention in the book.
Oh, okay.
The rhythm they use to sing their messages tells you what they mean. It's like the notes you hear when Fife, the village Muggle musician, plays his saxophone. So, evidently, he has other musicians other than the, the flute made of a swamp tail.
Swamp tail, yeah.
So people did question that when it happened.
No reason for him to be a single man is the other thing. It's just like a dig at Fife.
Yeah, wasn't Nona wasn't she like their 50-year-old unmarried daughter?
Yeah,
46.
One of them was.
Yeah, 46-year-old unmarried daughter of Year and Gold. Get those two together.
Who was the widowed one? Like somebody died when they were young, and then someone else died.
Yeah, it was like a pitter-a-patter dad or something like that.
Yeah.
All these unmarried people, man, they need to have more speed dating events.
Yeah, when you were handing out tasks during the communist purge, they should have, matchmaker. Like, yeah, but I wire radios. Like, nope, you're a matchmaker now. All right, okay.
Fife was a professional bodybuilder. Then they handed him a flute to play, and he's like, "Well, this just looks humiliating." Like,
oh, imagine having to go to the glossary to figure out who Wuskers is. That would be a sad moment. I can't remember. It's like the third mention of Wuskers. I could look up to the previous paragraph. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to the glossary.
Your wife is like, I got some, the doctor called. I got some bad news today. You're interrupting my concentration. Licking the fingers of thick through the pages.
When I'm done looking up Wuskers, we can talk about your little thing.
All right. Where does it fall in the canon for you?
Oh, boy. I mean, I appreciate the brevity.
Yeah.
As always, I'm a big fan. In terms of the delight of, I don't know, the kids turning into horrible, repulsive beasts.
That's pretty great.
It amused me quite a bit. So, I don't know. I'd put it maybe just below a Shatner tale,
okay.
The first one we did.
I feel like I kind of liked it better than that just because of the crazy backstory and the body horror.
There's a lot of body horror. Yeah.
I definitely liked it better than, the Starlight barking. But I didn't like it as much as the Ellises just because those are so ambitious in their scope.
Those are so, yeah.
Those are probably their closest analog because they were intended for a similar audience. But
yeah,
it's probably like a 50%er for me, right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah. It was... It had its amusing moments. Yeah.
And you can't knock the audacity of trying to sue the author of the most popular book series ever written.
That is bold.
That's like going at the biggest guy in prison on day one. You just got to make your presence felt, and then you lose and get fined $50,000.
Yep. Yeah. No, it was enjoyable, and thanks for being short. If it were longer, it would wear on you? I would think. The kind of prose and everything.
Sure, because it's terribly written, and so many things are just incidental and never come up again. But if by the end, Zyn was dragging around his internal organs in a sack next to him, that was the only thing keeping him alive. Type of that, it could have gone better, or worse for him, better for us.
One more thing to bring up. Did you know where she came up with Muggle? Did you read that far?
I didn't.
Okay, it's in the...
Is it about the author?
Nancy Kathleen Stouffer, N.K. Stouffer, created the real Muggles and the Larry and Lily Potter books in the 1980s. Like most writers, she draws on personal experience for inspiration and ideas. Pretend you hear all the commas that are in there that shouldn't be there. For example, it was the playful manner her son, as a toddler, used to pinch her cheeks, her lump cheeks, I'm assuming, before kissing them and say he just kissed her muggy, that led her to coin Muggles as the name of mythical characters in her book. So, any questions? I assume no questions.
Yeah, Your Honor, I believe this rests my case. I'll be accepting the rights to the Harry Potter series.
I'll take 60%. I'll be fine with that.
My son called me a different made-up word. Therefore, I own the rights to your made-up word.
Yes.
Wow.
Oh, all right. That was good. That was fun.
Yeah, and and of course it includes the sheet music at the end. So, thank you for everybody who listened and read along, and I hope you got a copy of the books. We got to give away our copies of the books to
right.
winners of a contest. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds good.
All
Thanks,
right.
everyone.
Bye.